Hello and welcome to the first Hex Social.
Is it
Hey
okay?
Freddie, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Great. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm super excited. I'm gonna drop the link here so that other people can join, and
Very cool.
then we'll kick it off.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. I didn't want to have my headset on during the conference. I just didn't think it would look as good. But now that we're in the social, I think it's a little bit more lenient.
Yeah.
But let's see here. Are you tweeting out the link?
Um, I was just dropping in the cutthroat room and the speakers
Awesome.
room, and then we're still trying to understand how to pull off these socials and if we want to be able to include as many people as possible. So if we can get people on screen who haven't been on before, that'd be great too. Um,
Absolutely. Let me see what I can do here. How about
your fans are here. They're commenting.
Is there a
Well, I
way
mean,
to
we're
see it?
we're all your fans. Can you see the comments behind
I
this stage?
I can see him on the screen. Oh, over here to the right. Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I wish I
Well,
could reply.
um,
I don't think
you
that I can
can, if
reply
you
right.
open another window, you can have you can reply individually to a platform. Like if
Gotcha.
you want to like mute the window, and that's so I've got set up here lots of lots of windows, so I can see all the places we're streaming and respond individually if needed. Um, hey,
Thank
Biffines,
Yeah,
you
so
coming
that's
on? You coming on? Uh,
Bitfinesse. I have a lot of I think my average on the Staker app is like 9 years, I think. But
wow,
but
long-term thinker.
what'd you say?
You're a long-term thinker.
I am.
Actor,
I
long-term
do
actor. Like,
I do have I do have a chunk of liquid though, in case we see a moonshot. It's my parents' retirement account.
oh
I
yeah.
tell that to everyone. I'll take a little bit of profits, but for the most part, I liked what they were saying in the keynote about how, or maybe I think it was the keynote that I heard it, and maybe it was Krim in the other room there. But your first stake should be really long. I think my first stake was 2 million for 10 years. But I knew I wanted to go long. But I have a staking ladder every 25 days out for 5555, and when it ends, I'm just restaking it for 5555. So it's cool. We're in a fun zone right now where with the big payday
Yeah.
and everything, I'm actually getting like double to triple my T shares on these original stakes that I had made. So it's pretty neat.
It's really neat. And I was thinking about that today, about how that's not even calculated in the price charts, the big payday.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like totally, it's like hidden almost. Like the true profits in Hex are not even
It's
fully
crazy.
accounted for. And part of the reason for that is because the your interest gets paid out over a long period of time. So the big payday is really you really get access to that whenever it comes out. But it's still wow. It's still
It's very cool to
adds up.
watch, especially on
Yeah.
the Staker app. It's brilliant what those guys have done, man. The way that you can just go in and check your rankings. I mean, the rankings itself is worth it for the download. Everybody who we onboard, um, let's see here. Everybody who we onboard, um, the first thing we tell them to do is to download the Staker app. Download the Staker app. I'm trying to read the comments and stay up on those at the same time.
Yes. And oh, I something I didn't get to share during the conference that I want to share now is on all my links, I have a place where you can send people if they're buying Hex for the first time, they can find links to all the apps and stuff that they need. Hey, look who's
Oh,
here.
hey,
Look at this guy.
I thought I was in the room with a bunch of folks. I didn't know you were gonna throw me on.
Oh,
Let me turn this thing down here. I was actually listening. Freddie, bro,
What's
man,
up, brother?
dude, like I've turned into such a fan. Your song comes on, like half the day, 3 or 4 times a day in my truck.
Damn.
I've turned into like a fan now.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, so check this out though. But my wife is completely like oblivious to crypto. She doesn't want to have nothing to do with it after
Right.
2017, 18. But I finally got her to watch a Richard Hart stream and she liked it. She was like, this guy's like a freaking pompous ass, but I like him. He's
Right.
cool. So she dug it. Well, I played her your song for her the other day.
Really?
I think I got my wife over 50% now. She's
Really?
she's like on Hex crew now because of your song. So thanks, bro. You
No problem.
pushed her over the edge just a little bit. She ain't there yet, but we're working on it.
So my wife,
that's awesome.
we were headed back. We took a trip out to Gatlinburg right before Halloween just because we had never been and it's supposed to be beautiful and it's a gorgeous little town in Tennessee. It's about an 8-hour drive from where we live in Northern Virginia. And on the way back, Richard was doing a live stream, which was crazy. So we put it on and it was like a 4-hour live stream. And by the time it was done, she was like, this guy's the one who created Hex. I was like, yeah, babe. She was like, this is riveting. I could watch this all day long. I was like, I know.
See, once they finally sit down and watch, they're like, okay, this guy's cool. This guy's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Dig it.
I
So what
saw
are we
you,
what are we doing? Was Freddie going to perform or what's happening here? Why am I even on? I thought there was a bunch of people like going to be a social or something.
I
Yeah,
think
well, we
they're on the
just
other
wanted
channel.
to create multiple streams and give more people the opportunity. I think only 10 people can be on
Yeah.
at a time, and so the more people we can have, the better. So now that we have the captain here, we can should we just tweet out or should we just drop in the chat the StreamYard link or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah, fill it up and
Cool.
then just start rotating folks in
Awesome.
and through. I mean, I'll jump off and let some new Hexicans jump in here with Freddie if they want because I don't want
Oh,
to
that'd
take
be
the
great.
slot. I'm all the time on here. So bring on the Hexicans.
I agree.
More of you,
Yeah.
less of me. Have they
So
started coming
I
in?
just sent those out and yeah, this is fun.
I saw you earlier, RG3. I think you were just leaving work and you were driving. You were like, yeah, getting it in, doing your thing on the stream. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, just
Oh wait, that was
just
the
keeping
wrong.
it real,
Sorry.
I mean this is where I'm comfortable in my studio with my, pirate on and this is where my fun
Absolutely.
place is. But I wasn't going to not be I promised Maddie that I'd be on and work, just one of those things at work where it was like, they put me in the stupid I was in with the Bobs, doing the whole meeting thing and doing the PowerPoint,
Oh yeah.
freaking, fix shit. Oh, we got COVID problems and blah, 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 blah. So I got stuck and I was like watching the clock, like cringing, going, oh no, I gotta tell Maddie. I couldn't even text because I had left my phone over at my desk, and so I'm in this room going, fuck, Matt, poor Maddie's going to be freaking pissed. And then finally I got out just in the nick of time to even go up there. So I apologize to everybody for
No,
showing
you
up
rocked it out, brother.
and freaking thank you.
Yeah,
And,
you did awesome. It made it very exciting. And we were happy to
oh,
see that.
my favorite Hexican trucker.
What's up, brother?
Hey, Bifinaz.
Hey,
He's too quiet.
give me 1 second.
I don't know what he's going to be showing, if it's going to be anything illegal. So I'll just bring him back on here in a
Your
second.
finger on the button. There's been a couple of streams where I have had my finger on the button the whole time, man. It's like, oh, this one's not going to go good. I can just tell. Oh,
Here we go.
there he is. What's up, Biffin-S?
All right.
Now,
I
certain
had a
rules still
question.
apply because we're streaming on YouTube, so we can't have any
Yep.
guns or ammunition.
Good with all that. I actually had a
Awesome.
question. Now, hi RG3.
Yo, what's up, dude?
I caught Kinetics stream the other morning from the pirate ship, and I sent him this message on Twitter, and he gave me a really good response. It's not the response I want, so I'm going to ask this question again, and I'm sure all three
Until
of you guys
somebody
are more
tells you what
knowledgeable
you want to hear.
about this than I am. So what I've been doing is, so I have my MetaMask, my main MetaMask wallet, and in that wallet, I've created sub wallets, like 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few people whose stakes I hold in that wallet, like dirty, raunchy comedian, call him Tyrell. I took $500 for him, staked it inside that sub wallet for my niece.
Oh, that's
The
right.
money I
Yeah.
gifted her is in another sub wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got now one. So when I open my MetaMask, my wallet's on top, and then there's a bunch of other wallets below that. So my friend from the oil field, hi Steve, when I walked him through over the
Hi,
telephone how to
Steve.
buy MetaMask, it was like it was a couple days before before the big payday. I said, let's get you in this thing now. So I walked him through how to buy MetaMask, and I said, I've created a new sub wallet that's for you. Send me your MetaMask. Send me your Ethereum, and then I staked it for him. So it was only for Steve that I've actually done this, and I had to teach Steve how to scroll down a web page. So if what I'm about to tell you is insecure, I'm not worried about it because Steve's not gonna steal my money, right? So I wanted to give Steve control of that wallet through which I staked that hex for him. So I went into that sub wallet and I clicked on export keys. But I also I clicked on other wallets and pressed export keys just to make sure that it spat out a different private key. And it did, right? So I transmitted the private key for Steve's sub wallet to him over the telephone. And he, in his MetaMask that I helped him set up, he went to Recover Wallet and put in those private keys. Now that wallet shows up in his MetaMask.
I'm
Now
following you
that
so far.
wallet is also still in my MetaMask. So it appears that we both have control to this wallet.
Yes.
Now he has his seed words. I have my seed words. Is that wallet really being controlled by 2 separate sets of seed words? And
Never fucking
is
done
this a
that.
secure way for me to gift people staked hex? Because in Richard Hart's last stream, I think he was attempting to speak on this, and he said that he's not knowledgeable enough about the code base of MetaMask to know if this is actually secure. So if I did this for if I did this for David Feeder or for Richard Hart, would one of those super technical guys be able to have access to my funds in my main wallet in MetaMask? Is this safe?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So security questions are always complicated because security changes and it's not an all or none phenomenon, right? Like, and so I do know what you're talking about because when I was doing the 1-inch claim, I was having a problem with one of my wallets not loading, and so I had to access it on another device, and so I had to go into the level of key, like individual account keys that you're talking about, and I'm not sure I have a final answer for you on like what the future of that security is going to look like.
Yeah.
But I think if it is a private key, then more than one person having it makes it so that more than one person is accessing it, right? Like, or has access to it.
And with the
Um,
amount of volume and value that we're talking about these days and where it's going, um,
I,
erring on the side of OPSEC is
yes,
always the right answer. You're
yes,
you're talking about something that's happening that's very technical and kind of strange. I've never heard of that happening or being explained that way or somebody doing that. So it's definitely in an area that you need to err on the side of caution, and
yes.
definitely not
And
utilize that. Use this as a because you said the person. When you're talking about multiple millions of dollars, you don't
Right.
in the future you don't know what could transpire. I've seen mothers and sons and brothers and sisters do worse to each other and over money and stuff. So
very true.
you've got to be extremely careful and err on the side of caution when it comes to OPSEC. Um, don't learn that one the hard way.
Yeah,
Don't learn OPSEC the hard way. Always err on the side of caution. Always be the only one that knows your seed words, your keys, unless it's your beneficiary that gets them after you die, locked
right.
up, put away somewhere. I would always do that.
Did
Always.
you say that each sub account has its own private keys?
Yeah, I didn't
The
Yes.
know
sub
that.
account
Now,
does, but I
So
didn't know that there were separate seed words. I knew that the sub
now
account had.
no,
well,
it's
I
separate
was wondering.
keys.
So yeah, so Kinetic's answer to this was, look, man, don't be an idiot. Oh, use Chrome and then use a different web browser. Use Firefox and
Hmm.
just have a whole different MetaMask.
Yep.
I,
Yes.
now
But you can
that's
do that
great. That's
on the
great
same
answer.
Chrome.
Did you try to take the keys into a different MetaMask and upload it and to see what you would have access to?
No,
I kind of did that. Yeah.
you
But
did
I
that,
it
Maddie.
was because I had to. Yeah, because I wasn't able to access it on one because I think I didn't know like what the password was, and so that's why I
So
had to go back to the seed words, and then I had to load it into a separate MetaMask, and it wasn't even showing up all the different sub accounts I had until you actually have to hit add, and Motley helped me with this. You have to hit add, and then it'll pop up with your account that already exists. But
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
was in
you have
there,
to.
it looked like I didn't have access to anything, and I was freaked out. And so there is like a good level of detail here, right? That's important. And like I I think what the captain did and what I do when we gift people Hex, we set up a completely different account.
Completely
It's not a
different
sub
account.
account, it's a separate account. It's got
Yeah,
its own seed words that are,
no.
just how anybody would if they
Run the
were
funds through an
making a new
exchange
one.
or
Yeah.
tornado.
through tornado.cash. Now, RG3, you said that you can have several MetaMasks in the same Chrome browser. Is that right?
Well, what you do is you erase one. You delete it from Chrome, and then you can put
After
another
you
one
Start
in
back it
there.
over.
up.
Or
Right.
you can open up a whole nother Chrome and I mean,
Right. Right.
you
And then
can
just
you
keep
can
them and recover them as you need them.
yeah, or do it in separate browsers or whatever.
Different Google account?
Different, yeah, you can do those, do it that way. Um, uh, this would be a better question for RH or use
Yeah,
for.
true.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
is. It's definitely a question for people who understand OPSEC. My only answer to it, to be honest, I mean, we're just kind of like farting in the wind right here, trying to figure out what to do. So it's really not helpful to anybody, to be honest. The only thing that we could say here to be completely honest and helpful to everyone is OPSEC is key. Your seed words never go anywhere but in your possession or with the person that you are going to, um, um, pass them on to, your beneficiary.
Yeah, and with this particular guy, with Steve, I told him, and like I said, I made sure that my main wallet spat out a different private key than his wallet, and I told him, I said, hey, I still have access to your funds, right? So do you want me to delete it? Because I'm sure if I delete it, well, now only he'll have it in his MetaMask. I said, do you want me to delete it, or would you like me to keep it in case you mess something up? Because Steve is not technical.
I'd
He
probably
said,
keep it.
please, he said, please keep it. Please keep it. Keep what you have in your MetaMask. Keep it there in case I lose my computer or something. And I'm happy to do that. I'm obviously not going to screw him over. But yeah, I think what would happen is if I recovered a wallet using the seed words, I think it would bring up all the sub wallets that I had in that wallet. But if I recover a wallet using a private key, it's only going to bring up that one individual sub wallet.
Again, we're just guessing.
But
so that's
yeah, but like you said, RG3, for OPSEC, since we're not the most technical guys, being more safe than you need to be, like however safe you actually need to be,
go take it
the
one more
gap,
step.
yeah, the gap between there and how safe you actually are is your that margin of error. That's your security. And if you don't know, you need to be more secure than you think you do.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that the biggest error that people make, the place where people lose the most crypto is they lose their keys, or they didn't save their keys.
Yes.
So saving your key, saving your seed phrase, and putting it away safe, whether it's in a hardware wallet, whether it's on stainless steel in your safe, buried in, wrapped in plastic, whatever it is that you do to secure it and keep it safe so that you won't lose it. Put it in a safe deposit box, whatever it is. That's key importance, is taking care of your seed words where you don't lose them. Don't leave them on a computer or in a cell phone or somewhere where they can be lost, more so than stolen. I mean, I don't think people get hacked as much as we're worried about. I think really Operation Security OPSEC is really controlling and taking care of those seed words without losing your wallet that way. Because most people who've gotten wrecked in crypto that way isn't because somebody stole them. It's because they've lost the computer or the access to it.
They threw
you
it away
are
in the trash
safety.
and
you are.
So and one of the things that I do is I spread my risk across many different you could call them companies. So I have MetaMask on mobile. I have it on desktop, right? I have it on Trezor and Ledger. I have a cold storage coin, and so it's if any one of those were not being honest, or nobody actually audited the code that was being used, or they were that's very unlikely, right, for that to happen. Or maybe there was a keystroke thing happening on my computer. There's some weird, somebody had been monitoring it when I didn't know. I mean, that'd be highly unlikely, but still, like, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. And
probably right now, that type of stuff, the super hacker shit, is probably shit that'll happen, eventually, as Hex becomes more valuable and we all become bigger targets. And that's when you're going to want to start taking all of that very, very, very seriously, which now is the time to do that, of course. So running through different Coinbase accounts, like, having different Coinbase accounts on different bank accounts where you run your crypto through, in and out, all of those things. But the problem with all that, the problem with setting up all those wallets and different entry and exit points and all of those things to stay secure, you just have to be a good custodian of your two factors, your seed words, your keys. If you're shaky with that stuff, if you're not absolutely if you don't absolutely understand how to use those things, and I would tell everybody to practice with your MetaMask. Practice. Take a new MetaMask that you have nothing on, and delete it and bring it back and add wallets to it, add sub wallets to it, accounts to it. Play with it. Do those type of things. I didn't do what Bitfinesse is saying, but I have created many wallets. I have multiple Coinbase accounts. I have all of those things set up so that I can try and stay somewhat. I mean, I know that you guys had Silver on here earlier. I know he knows just about everything about half of my accounts, because he's monitored it. So I mean, that's and there's nothing wrong. He's a valuable.
He'll be on another day.
Yeah, so he's very valuable to us in that sect that he can watch the whales. But just think, he's exposing that and showing people that, hey, you're freaking dirty laundry and you're dropping your drawers when you put your wallet out there. Everybody can see everything you do and have done. So everybody can see that. So you got to be aware of it. You've got to have multiple positions so that you're not completely exposed. But be a good custodian of it and take care of it, because you're going to be the one to fuck it up more than likely. Oh, sorry.
That's right. This is something that I used to gift. You can buy these on Amazon or directly from the company, cold storage coin, for about $20. And I've got the method for how to gift it on my Medium account, which is written out the instructions of how you open up. There's a sticker on the back, and you take the sticker off, and then you punch the private key into a new account in MetaMask, and then you can stake the hex, and then you can give it away on a coin form when you put the sticker back on it. And then if you want, you can keep a copy of that account on one of your computers. And that way, that's something that Richard has said in the past. Like, if you're gifting somebody Hex, it's a good idea to keep a copy of the private key, because they're going to lose it.
They probably don't know what they're doing.
And in a lot of cases, when I've gifted people Hex and then maybe walked them through how to do the buying and selling, they end up with an airdrop.
You screw it up right there.
they end up with an
airdrop right in front of you.
So, I think with some of the Hex that I gifted for Christmas, I went ahead and did a MetaMask transaction on their account, because I think MetaMask might do an airdrop someday. And so there's lots of ways that you can gift Hex, just by writing it down on a piece of paper and giving it to somebody, or using one. I mean, this is fireproof, and it's not gonna get rained on, and then you can't see what the private key is. So,
but I will say that comedian,
that comedian
with he's not that bad, but according to PC standards, I mean, he'll never be on TV. He's one of those guys. He's great, but me giving him the public key and it already being staked and telling him just download staker.app. By that time, it had already, his stake had already doubled in value, and I had to remind him, hey, this was only $500. He's like, what do you mean it was only $500? It's $1,200 or $1,400 now. Yeah, well, this is the best thing in the world of finance. Enjoy watching your money grow for 15.2 years.
Yeah,
thank you would be fine. Thank you would be fine.
Yeah, the guys who helped me with the video, they had it was my buddy Sean, and then he had two cameramen, and I gave each of them $25K Hex, and it went up pretty significantly in a very short amount of time, and now they're all in. I think one of them staked it for 5 years, and they're already looking to buy more. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bitfinesse.
Yeah, it's powerful, I mean, it's such people don't see that kind of growth anywhere in anything. They never have. It does sound like a scam. The only thing that sucks about Hex is that it's too good for the world. I mean, we're just not used to seeing things that are this good and legitimate.
But when things grow, they are this good. When things grow, when they hit a critical mass, or they're launching, you get in early. We're in early. We're in early in a cryptocurrency that is going to shock the cryptocurrency world eventually. It already has shocked. They're in disbelief right now, is what it is. It's like, what is this damn coin climbing up the charts like this? What is it doing? Why is it still here? Why are these annoying people still around? What is this Hex thing? Why? And eventually that won't be the case. But when you're in that phase That's where exponential growth happens, and that's where whales are made, and that's where, you know, big money in crypto is made, is in the beginning. Period. End of story. That's it. You can put very little into a crypto in the beginning that's going to do well and become very wealthy or own a lot of it. And that's where we're at, guys. That's just it. That's where we're at. You know, look at the top 2,000 wallets. I talked about this earlier. In every crypto, that's every successful crypto out there, the big caps, the top 2,000 wallets hold the wealth, hold the value. And, you know, that's all the dolphins, half the squids, you know, and all the sharks and whales are the top couple thousand wallets, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a lot of hexagons there that are holding the value of this crypto. And then only 10%, nine point something, are actually staker class, which they're the ones that hold the real value, which is T shares. And those of you who own, you know, what we call Genesis shares, the shares before the T share price started to really climb, you guys are the holders of the real wealth of Hex. Now, there's going to be some big whales that get in later that have big bags and big wallets, and there's going to be some whales drop in, but it's going to cost them multiple millions of dollars to get to where guys that put 5, 10, 15, 20 grand in, you know, maybe even less, are at now today. You know, so it's going to take millions of dollars of financial energy to equal some of the bags that hexagons own today that are in that 10% staking class.
And already. That can't be predicted now, how much it's going to cost them, because they're all going to move the price against themselves, and they can't predict each other's behavior. And so how much is it going to cost in a week or a year to be a dolphin? Like, it's unknowable. What Richard said the other day, it's unknowable what people's future financial decisions will be. But there are a lot of things we do know in Hex. We know that pump-o-mentals work, and we know that even with relatively, you know, relative to the world population, Hex is tiny. And look at where we are in the market caps. I always like to tell people, right? I always like to remind you that if you're staked, your value is not counted in the market cap. The market cap is just the unstaked coins that aren't earning super high interest. And so, you know, it really changes what you think about the market cap and shows how awesome Hex is.
I calculated the other day. Oh, my bad. Sorry, you go, brother.
And also, if your Hex is 100% staked, MetaMask.io can't even see you. All the other awesome Hex tools can see you, but you don't exist to Etherscan.io.
No, you transferred it out of your MetaMask. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's a good little tidbit of information. I calculated the other day, like, my T shares and what it would cost now to get my T shares, and I was blown away. I was like, there's no way that's possible. Like, how is that a thing? That's insane. I couldn't believe it, man. And that's just after a year, just 1 year. My God, imagine 5 years from now. Imagine 10 years from now.
Look at the value in dollars that you're making every day on those T shares. Just, you know, do the math on that, and you'll be like, a day now, a day. Yep. That's what we're bringing in. And I know that interest percentages, well, it should go down. I mean, it should. But that means price go up. So that makes it that, you know, again, Hexkins
Moon Boy math.
We get the double whammy.
Yeah, your daily T-share payouts and interest, when you start thinking about what it would be if it stayed the same, and, you know, Hex gets to $1 or Hex gets to $5, the amount of money that you're making daily is just astronomical. It's insane.
$77.
What'd you say?
$77.
Yeah. I mean, God.
People who don't think that we're going to see multi-thousands of dollars per Hex, you're out of your mind. But Frankie, Freddie, just to what you were just saying, the first stake that I made on day 4, after day 4 of the AA, I didn't understand what a T-share was yet. Right. So I just knew that the longer pays better kind of maxed out at 10 years. So I made that stake for 10 years.
Same
and it was
here.
a sizable stake. Okay. And knowing that T-shares is what you really want, and the price only goes up forever, to make sure that a shorter time frame staker can never outpace the ROI of a longer term staker,
Mhm.
Yes.
those T-shares get more expensive in hex, in dollars, forever. So
God, it's crazy to think
now,
about.
well, it's kind of, it's somewhat driving. It's not driving me crazy, but I cannot bring my now I can't bring myself to make a stake for less than 5,555 days,
Right.
because just as the gentleman showed us in those charts just a few minutes ago,
Yes.
the difference between a 10-year stake and a 15-year stake is like, I'm gonna
Exponential.
yeah, the difference is crazy. So
Yeah.
but
I was
now I'm caught in this position because 75% of what I make goes into hex, because it's the only place your money's safe, literally, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, well, at what point, like Dollar Cost does a great job talking about the ladders. I was talking to people earlier in chat about the ladders, but that difference is so big between a 5 and 15, between a 10 and 15.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like, at what point should I start making 5 and 10-year stakes? I mean, and
Let,
not
let me speak
just
a little
only
bit to
15
what
year
you're
stakes,
saying. Let me
Yeah.
please.
speak a little bit to what you're saying, Bitfinesse, because I want to put things into context here, because we are talking about crypto, and you just said it's the safest place to put. It's not the safest place to put your money. Crypto
No,
is the
crypto's
most
not.
volatile. Yeah, it's the safest
Right.
place in crypto to put your money, but it is the most volatile asset on the planet right now. So yes, it is the most productive. It's definitely got a lot of speculative stickiness, as they call it, or whatever. But it's definitely not the safest play with the political climate and everything. But yes, in crypto there is no better place than Hex to put um, your coins, because
I
that
think you
way.
and I are almost on the same page there, because I think, like, yes, crypto is terrible. And I don't just see Hex as the best thing in crypto. I see Hex as, it's better than the bank, it's better than the
Oh
401k,
yeah,
it's
at
better
this
than the
time it
stock
is.
market, it's
Mhm.
better than, I mean, so I I kind of don't consider Hex a part of crypto. I think Hex is the black hole that's going to suck up all of crypto and
You're
then all
right.
of finance.
Yeah.
You're right.
And that's
But
why, like,
just don't forget it exists within crypto. It's not
kinda,
outside of crypto. It's inside
right?
of crypto. For regulatory bodies, it is. If a regulatory body wants to come in and smash crypto, it
Mhm.
can and will. They already have control of all the money going out. You can't really get money out that easy. So they've got control, and if they do want to regulate and try and stop it, which I don't see that on the horizon, I really don't. But there's always that risk, and you just got to put it in perspective. That's all. But I mean, you're right as far as saying it's going to suck up all the financial energy like a black hole in crypto. It's freaking amazing what's about to happen,
Yeah.
and they're not going to know what hit them. They're not going to know what hit them because they've been looking at this thing the wrong way, from the wrong side. They've been looking at Hex from the wrong side, and it's going to smack them all in the face. And once it does start sucking up all that financial energy, I think they're going to be rather surprised, and the FOMO is going to be real. The FOMO will be real.
It's gonna
If
be
Well,
you're
they've
gonna
been
insane.
stake,
looking at it like it's a cryptocurrency, which, like you said, technically it is. But most of cryptocurrency is just like legacy finance, middlemen everywhere. And it's only the cryptocurrencies that the government favors, that the banks have been buying for a long time, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is fine. That's great. But if you're if you have a lot of money, if you're a billionaire, you've got two options. You can stay with the legacy finance that the government is committed to keeping pumped at all-time highs, or go into something like Bitcoin, which the banks slash government are getting deeper and deeper into. So anything else crypto seems like a risky endeavor to from the institutional perspective. But so I think when they hear of Hex and they hear it's a cryptocurrency, it goes on a blacklist in their minds. But all that, like Richard Hart says, is opportunity. Like that's so temporary because you can't, seeing your gains double in a few days or a few weeks, like, and then the dumps being so small and us hitting price floors that we apparently can't smash through. It's yeah.
Well,
Maddie's talked about this. I kind of hope it takes a long time to really reach mass adoption because we're here. We'd love to get
yeah,
it.
we're accumulating some serious interest, and it is a good thing that we've got fudded out and we've gotten called scammers, because
It made all our
if
bets.
everybody knew what Hex was when it launched, we would have never been able to get in. All the big money
So
would have been
true.
coming in, and
Right.
and the price would have jumped up all the way. If everybody really knew what we know about Hex, then we would have never been able to position ourselves like we are positioned. So that is our gift.
Thanks.
That we got
Yes.
that gift. Because we took the punches and stood there in front of the wall when we were being attacked. We're reaping the benefits of that, and it's really a good thing. I've looked at the FUD as always a good thing for us, because we're the beneficiaries of it, and everybody else is going to be like, fuck, man, look at what those guys did. Damn it.
Yeah,
you guys remember Conrad?
Still buying.
Oh yeah,
I remember him.
Remember Conrad Zen? So there's so much Hex content. Like people say, oh, is it too late to get into Hex? It's not too late to get into Hex, but we might be crossing the line of when it's too late to start. It might be too late already to really catch up on all the Hex content. If you're a no-coiner, just getting into Hex, you might not be able to watch all the content
So
out
true.
there. There's
Yeah.
so
There's
much.
like-
You heard it here first.
You might not have
We're
enough
here.
time. I mean, we all spent the last year listening to it and creating it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a shit ton. I'll tell you that right now.
Like,
It's going to keep exploding.
I just got through the
because it frees
24-hour.
up people's time, and it gets people
Yep.
so
Yeah.
excited, and so we have more, and we're sucking in more and more great minds that are willing to contribute.
I was talking with Hexo about that the other day, how Richard Hart has literally created an army. All of these early Hexicans who got in and who are going to be retiring here in the next year or two, they're going to need to spend their time on something. And the Hex content that this community puts out is insane. We're going to take over the crypto space, and it's just going to be soldier after soldier after soldier after soldier, and no one's going to be able to keep up. And even for people now who have been in the game for a year, it's hard for me to keep up with all the content. Like I'm looking and I'm like, God, this person, like they put like, so Joe Exotic, I was on there last Friday. He's done like 3 or 4 more since then. I'm like, bro, how do I keep up? How do I watch this? And I'm friends with all these people I want to see. I want to make sure that I'm supporting them, but there's just so much. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even
DS just jumped to 5 days a week. They're doing 5 days a week now.
Crazy,
But,
man.
And think about it. There's so in 2 streams, there's 48 hours of content alone on the 2 24-hour streams. So just to try and go through those 2 streams is like, it'd take you weeks to do that,
Yep.
I mean, I just got through that 24-hour live stream you guys did when Big Payday was coming up, and look, I'm driving like most days all day. I can absorb a crazy amount of content, and it still took me 3 or 4 days to get through that 24-hour drive. How often do you see a YouTube video that's 12 hours long? And there's 2 of them. It's like, oh, it's part 1, 12
There's
hours.
only half.
Part 2, 12 hours. Damn.
I think we're the only ones who have done it, to be honest.
You must be. I've never seen that before. Like what? 12
I
hours.
don't know.
212.
This is great. This picture's great.
Well, there's 4 of them if you think about it, because there were the 2 24 hours. So, I mean, you've got 4 12-hour streams to watch just off the jump.
Yep. So all you new folks out there, you're going to have to catch up. You're definitely going to have to catch up.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Good luck.
Good luck. Oh, You back, Maddie?
Here I am. Yeah, sorry.
That is
I
awesome.
was transferring the image.
Oh, that's
All
so
right.
good. Someone
Somebody
needs
said
to get
Richard
that
Hart's making
tattooed.
an army. So yeah, if
Yeah.
go ahead and get all of us tattooed if you want.
That's
Maybe
gonna be
like
It'd be a
classic
maybe
good
like
photo.
your entire back or something could be.
It'd be a good like double sleeve on both arms, half and half. A good artist can make that happen.
The last thing I want is those faces on my freaking body.
Same
I love
here.
all you guys, but the last thing I'm gonna do is tattoo you guys on me. That's for damn sure.
Not for like $100 million. I could.
No,
Yeah.
not even
Yeah,
for a quarter
maybe.
of my head.
Everybody's got a price.
I know Hex will get me there someday.
Oh
Man.
boy. Well, I'm gonna get rolling, guys. Maddie, bro, you pulled this off. It's awesome, man. I'm so glad you did this.
Yeah, thanks for your support. I
Yeah.
couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, well, don't thank me yet until after you see what happens on my keynote. I'm still kind
It's gonna be
of
awesome.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I don't have anything yet, so we'll see what the keynote's gonna look like. I don't
As
know.
long as it's not in the truck, you'll be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be at home for that one. That's for sure. I got bobbed today. That's the yeah. Anyway,
You
all
still
right,
made
guys.
it though, man. Nice.
You
Good
did.
to see you, RG.
Because we're real,
Yeah.
man. Because we're real.
Thanks
Because
for
we do
joining
what we
us.
say
That's
we're gonna
right.
do, right? We don't exit scam. Well, I'm accused of being a rogue. Anyway.
Oh yeah, did you write the code for that wheel?
Yeah, like RG3 can write a freaking code. Like I haven't even
Someone
smart
saw
enough
it.
to. Like I'm smart enough to even figure something like that out. I could barely click my name on there when Ski Cat asked me to, let alone freaking scam the thing.
It was so good.
It was beautiful. I was stunned when it hit there. I was like, oh. I was like, oh shit, and then I was like, well, this ain't gonna go over good, and the chat just blew up. Yeah, bullshit. You yeah, right.
Well, you deserve it, man. I mean, you put out a lot of content. The content creators, they deserve these rewards, no doubt about it.
Well, it was definitely cool. Ski Cat is awesome for helping support the community. It's all gone back into the production, and and there's still things to pay for and buy and build and what I'm stoked about on that, guys, is that like my crew over here, the cutthroats and everybody, they're like their brains are turning, their wheels are turning, and they're building stuff for DS. So we're going to advance this and create a place for Hexkins to, continue to do this on a regular basis. Whether there's any excitement or not, we're going to be putting out regular streams and see where it takes us, and put out clothing line and do stuff for the community and
Awesome.
and continue trying to give back and just increase our production. Where everything we're doing right now is going back into it. At first we were gonna donate to the party. We were supposed to all have a party in Miami, and then the COVID thing hit and the dip hit. So everybody was like, well, I can't go to Miami, COVID. And, we were hoping for a big pump after Big Payday. And we have had a pump, but nobody wants to spend their hex, right? I mean,
That's right.
even if we're sitting here with
Correct.
you've got some hex and you're like, even if it's liquid, you're like, I don't want to spend, $1,000 to go to Miami and get a hotel on my hex. Really? That's going to be like in maybe a year from now, that might be a $25,000-$30,000 trip.
It's going to regret buying that pizza.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Pizza.
More than that, RG3.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody wants to be that guy or do that thing. It's like, okay, do I do that? I mean, literally the money that I spent on the studio, the new mic, the new camera, the new computer, all that stuff. That was lemons, man. That was lemons. I wasn't spending no hex on that. I put lemons into that and built the studio,
That's dope.
And so that's what I don't want to spend a freaking single hex, man.
Yeah, I
Well,
think we're on the
and
same page there.
yeah, I run into the same thing. I
So
have done well in Hex and but I'm not dropping thousands of dollars on a new camera yet or anything like, it seems like I'm coming across pretty well.
you are, and
It,
this, I felt the same way too. I was like, okay, well, I was
yeah,
coming across pretty good. I mean, the sound quality on this new microphone is just phenomenal. I love it. But the camera, did I really need to do the camera? But
it
anyway,
looks great.
It
Yeah,
looks really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's awesome. And
yeah.
hopefully I'll get there
When
someday with a better camera.
RG3, when you're on your channel, and
Mhm.
especially when you don't speak for a while, and I listen to everybody. Everybody sounds really good. Everybody sounds really good. But then you'll speak, and I'm like, wow, that sound is just it's
it's
so
like
it's so
it's like
clear and
butter.
smooth. It's like butter. It's
Are you
It's
beautiful.
like
brown nosing right now?
it's
It's
like
nice, man.
it's like pirate butter.
That's awesome.
All
That
right,
made
guys.
my
Pretty
day.
great.
Freaking Maddie, love you, man. Good job.
Love you. Thanks.
Freddie, freaking badass, dude. Love your music.
Thank you, brother.
I hope you make more. I hope you make more, because
Definitely.
man, that's good shit. And Biffin, keep the rubber side down, bro.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, fellas. Take care. We'll see you guys
Thanks.
on Friday for the
Later, buddy.
keynote.
Awesome.
Yeah,
See you then,
that's
brother.
great.
Later, guys.
Yeah, they've
And then
done.
there
Freddie,
was
how long have
Bree.
you been making music?
No lie, man. I think I wrote my first song in like 5th grade. But I didn't start
Wow.
recording
Okay.
until I was like 18, about 20 years ago. And
So
I
very young.
used to,
Wow.
yeah, I started playing the piano when I was 3. Played the violin for a little bit in elementary school. Quit taking lessons on the piano when I was about 12, and that's my biggest regret in my entire life. Because I think of, had I just stuck with it and had I been disciplined, where I would be right now, it'd be crazy. But yeah, man, I mean, like church choirs, I grew up in all my church choirs, and music has always been a thing of mine. Like before I went to bed as a kid, my mom would come in and sing, or my dad would come in and play the guitar. So like I was brought up with music. Um, and then I found hip hop in like 5th grade, maybe 4th grade, and I would leave my house and I had like a dual cassette tape, and I would set it to record when I would go to school in the morning, and I'd come back and I'd have 90 minutes, and then I would just take the dual cassette tapes and like dub down like the songs, and then I would just make mixtapes from the songs. Um, but as I got older, I started writing my own music. And it's just something I do as a hobby now. And I've said this a couple times in a couple different streams before. When you have a wife and a kid and a full-time job, and music isn't a priority, but with Hex I wanted to contribute, and so I made it a priority for this. But
That's
I still
awesome.
dabble in a little bit. Yeah, I have a buddy who does a lot of music, Chris. He's the guy whose studio I use to record, and he's constantly putting out new music. And every now and then he'll ask me to come jump on a track, or to write a verse for something. But um,
Well,
I,
me being sorry, me being a finance nerd for a long time, I daydream sometimes about you know hip hop and other genres of music branching into singing and making music about things that matter, like finance and people's health.
yeah,
Because, like, look, like I grew up with Tupac, right? And
yeah,
what
me too.
Tupac said, Tupac said, I thank the Lord for my many blessings.
Yep,
Though I'm stressed, I keep a vest for protection against the battle of a Smith and Wesson. And
yep,
now we have Little Xan, who does
yeah,
sad rap. I watched an interview and they said, "What kind of rap is that?" He said, "Oh, it's emo. It's sad rap." So
hmm
Little Xan is saying, "I'm sad. I'm upset." And it's like, I don't like this. I don't like the direction, the trajectory that music is taking.
right.
So
It's gone downhill.
yeah, and I guess we're old, right? That's what all old people say about the current music. But dude, the
hmm
first time I heard your song was on Balliet Brand's channel. He had it for his intro, and I was just driving through Washington, and I heard that, and I'm like, oh wow, there's a brilliant song about Hex, about staking it,
Awesome.
and it's amazing,
Awesome.
fantastic job.
Thank you,
Yeah,
brother. Thank
really,
you.
really golden.
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes out to the producer too. The guy who made the beat, Cinema Beats, he's really good. And I have another song that I wrote, God, 10 years ago. I think it was 2010, called "When You Come Home." And the first verse is about my cousin. Actually, he was deployed overseas, and he had the opportunity to come home because one of his children was being born. And I wrote the first verse, and I didn't really have the motivation for the second verse, and I played the first verse for one of my buddies, Randy. And then he started telling me all his stories about when he was deployed, and then it just hit me on that one. So um, I it should be up on Spotify, and I've got a bunch of songs. I've recorded probably 20 or 30 songs. Most of them have gotten lost on old computers and stuff like that. It was just a hobby. I
Oh,
did a
no.
Redskins anthem one time, and that was pretty cool. I shot a music video with Chief Z and some other people. The music video turned out terribly. Like the guy who I paid, I thought it was going to be good from the other stuff I had seen from him, but it was so bad I never even put it out. Like it was just an embarrassment, and it sucks because I put a lot of time and energy into that song, and then um, just to have the video come out bad, it was just so disappointing. But that's when I
Mm.
realized, I was like, I don't want to be in the music industry for a living, because there's some grimy people in the music industry. And I was talking with RG3 about that on a different stream before. I guess he
Yeah,
was at a
yeah.
radio station, and he said it was just crazy what people would do to get their music on.
It's just
It's just a bad.
industry. I
Yeah.
think that's the nature of industry. When you have conglomerates of conglomerates, businesses of businesses, anything, it just gets so top heavy and so
Yeah.
big. It has to turn into a meat grinder to exist. And it's an organism, all organisms, whether you're
Yeah.
bacteria or cancer, it all wants to grow and prosper. And
Hmm.
whether it's good or bad, it's up to us to either kill it
Yep.
or let it grow. And
Right. It's a
yeah,
great
industry's
analogy,
a
man.
Do you think
yeah.
Hex is a mind virus
Yeah,
that
I
wants
mean,
to grow?
yes, but I think it's a thing that as it does grow, for a long time, most people, especially industry people, they're going to want to kill it, and they're going to try to kill it.
Hmm.
They're going to
But
call Hex a
I think that
scam. They're
what Freddie is doing, and what we're doing to some extent, but even more what Freddie's done with making an awesome song. I mean, uh, when I got the chance to go over to Europe, in like, I don't know, 2005, 2010, like in that time frame, like they're still playing 90s music,
yeah,
American 90s music in like the dance clubs and stuff. And that's because the United States has like, has like exported culture to be part of a superpower just as much as, exporting military power or something.
Yep.
And so I think like like the influence that celebrities and that musicians and artists, that goes a long way, and that's one of the things that I think is really cool about what the work that Freddie does, especially for Hex.
well, even if Hex was just the smart contract on the blockchain with the code that's been verified and has had 3 audits, even if that's all it was, which in a sense that is all Hex is, but it still couldn't be killed, right? But people love Hex so much that there's this thriving, growing community for it. People will vouch for it. People will put their lives on the line for it. People will work harder for it. People will take extra risks in many different kinds of
Yeah.
ways to put their money where their mouth is. And culture is like the most insane virus ever. You can, you know, You can break someone's tools, you can burn someone's building down, but the culture exists in the hearts and minds of people everywhere. And it's like,
Yes.
I mean, it's all a war for market share, right? And
Yep.
if you're fighting an enemy that's
Attention.
everywhere, like, you're going to lose all your troops if you're fighting an enemy that's 360 degrees around you. And culture is one of those types of combatants. It's just everywhere. You know, it's in your ears, it's in your eyeballs, it's in your heart, it's in your fingertips. You can taste the stuff. You know,
Hmm.
everything about Hex is so good, and everyone who jumps into this space has something super unique to offer that is pretty appealing.
Yeah.
And I think Hex is so good that it's going to get the mass adoption of influencers that are going to exponentially spread what they enjoy about this thing to the rest of the world.
Well,
And
well, can I disagree with you there? Cause
yeah,
like, why would an influencer tell a bunch of people about Hex when their whole business model is that they're getting paid by like centralized platforms, and then they would push the price against themselves when they really need to accumulate if they haven't been already. I
I
think they
think
would keep it
people
those
are
a
just
secret for a
influencers,
while.
are okay. Let's if we're going to call them influencers, those guys are all going to go away. Those guys are going to try to kill Hex, but Hex is going to make new influencers, people who speak out of passion and not just out of profit.
I think so
Yep.
too.
Everyone's going to make money. Everybody's going to
I
make
think so
money.
too.
Everybody's likely going to get rich. Dollar go up, everything go up. Everyone's going to make money, but the things that are going to do the best are the things that are spoken for with passion. That's why I love
We're
what
gonna make
Freddie's
better
doing, because
content. We're gonna end
it
Yep.
up killing the competition, but it's gonna
yeah.
take a little while before we like, can part with it. Like, I'm still working my day job so I can get a better camera, like, because now I don't have to put money into my retirement savings. But I'm not just gonna like, sell Hex for a camera. Like, sorry, but like, and the
Right.
stuff Crypto Kool-Aid is doing with like, making interactive backgrounds, and at some point it's gonna the content is gonna be next level stuff, I think.
Most of these influencers, I believe, are still jaded from 2017. They still have a
That's
bad
Yeah.
that's
taste
a
in their
good
mouth.
point.
They
That's
wanted
a
to
good
make
point.
sure that they were ahead of the curve on the next thing that looked like a scam or that they didn't understand or that they didn't like. I think they just wanted to be the one who was out front of everyone else saying, "Oh, this is it." But they exposed themselves because they didn't do their homework on it and they got their hand caught in the cookie jar. And yeah, now they're screwed.
It's like Wall Street. You know, you had the housing bubble, the collateralized debt obligations.
Mhm.
You had people just glomming onto the next thing that they could trade. Like, it's like, we don't care what this thing is. It's just another thing for us to trade and call the next best thing. It's the next coin, right? It's the
Right.
next crypto. It's the next stock.
Yep.
And yeah, to the point where they're like, hey, we need to make more home loans so that we can justify trading these
Mortgage-backed
derivatives.
securities. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's legacy markets for you. That's middlemen
Yeah,
for you. That's having no control over your life for you. That's what
yeah,
all that is. And it's just natural for crypto to turn into what it ran away from, because, you know, what
yeah,
are you going to do? What, you're going to do the right thing? Like, it takes someone who doesn't need the money to do the right thing, because, like you
Yep.
see in many other facets of life, the right thing is not the profitable thing usually.
Hex addresses a bigger market than Bitcoin does, right?
Massively.
Yeah.
Because
By far.
because the time deposit, it's like, more
So
trillions of
CDs are
dollars.
bigger than gold, you would say, store value?
Hey, Gary,
Hey,
how's
how's it
it
going,
Say that
Gary?
Hey,
again. What's
man.
bigger than gold? Hey,
Well,
Gary.
I thought
Time
he was saying it
deposit.
has a bigger purpose. Would you think is the CD market bigger than gold?
it's bigger.
Between
Yeah,
China
think
and
it's
U.S., it's $7 trillion, and the
yeah.
U.S.
So
gold
that
market
makes
or
it
the gold market is
about
like 7 trillion,
equal.
about the equal.
But it's bigger than that, and it
way
depends whether
bigger.
you count like certain derivatives or not, which is something separate. But I've heard people describe them as also being affected by negative interest rates. Once interest rates continue to be low, which they have to be, right?
Hmm.
It's gonna it's there I think was like an inversion in the yield curve. You guys could probably explain it to me better than I understand it, but there are lots of macroeconomic factors at play that are going to make Hex really, you know, off the charts, literally off the charts.
When I was talking with Joe, I said something that I think is true. It might not be true. I don't know, and I don't care. About food and drugs, right? I was talking about how I break down food and drugs. I think that food has fiber, and fiberless things are drugs. Not against drugs, just saying that's how I see it, and it helps me navigate the world, right? It's a tool that I use. So I don't think of the CDO market and the gold market and the derivatives market and the savings market. Now I look at what's long-term and short-term capital.
Hmm.
Long-term capital needs to be put in a safe place where no other human being or business or middleman can touch it, where it can grow respectably. And short-term capital is like cash, or maybe slightly less short-term capital, money you would keep in your bank to pay your bills in cash. But so I think you can take the economic mass of all those things that we say this coin addresses this and this addresses that. I think you can glom them all together and say anything that's longer term than a few weeks or months or years. I think Hex addresses all of that, because you don't have to stake for 15 years, right? You can stake it for a day or for a week or for a month or for 10 years or a year if you want. It's all up to you.
Hmm.
So I think you
So the
can
way
put a lot of that stuff together. What do you think, Gary?
So I think of short-term capital. When you're talking about short-term capital, I think of it as promises. So your credit market, I mean, how many people are spending their lives on credit cards, right? Or on financing their house? What did they actually have skin in the game as far as equity in the house? Probably next to nothing. A lot of people have next to nothing. What are they spending? They're spending out of the future. So their promise is, I will pay that back, right? I promise that I will pay that credit card bill. I promise I will pay off that car. I promise that I will complete this mortgage over the next 30 years. That's a promise. So I think of short-term capital as separate, like you just said. And I think of long-term capital, like you're talking about, as expectations. So I think of promises as, I promise to pay this debt, or the dollar is a promise to pay debt. It's an IOU. So those are promises. This piece of paper represents something, and that piece of paper, we call a dollar, is a promise. So that's why government can print more dollars to pay its obligations. It will never run out of dollars because it can print as many as it needs to.
Hmm.
What they are worth each may change, but its promises just to pay more dollars. That's all. Interest interest on bonds. So the same sort of thing with expectations. Expectations is, to me, is either tangible, because it is physical things that you can be dispossessed of. You don't have it anymore. You're going to jail and you lost all your shit. You're fraudulent and you lost all your things. You are a bad actor in a space, for whatever type of bad actor. So your real estate can get taken. That, to me, is long-term capital. It's locked in. It's equity. Someone else will buy it because it's not going anywhere either, right? In my mind. So in my mind, physical gold, physical silver, crypto, certain types of crypto that can be cryptographically proven to be really there, or whatever. I like calling long-term capital. That's the separation for me. Just like
So
your
would you
fiber
consider
versus
like
drugs.
Okay, so would you consider like stocks, 401k, all that is long-term capital in the respects that they
No, I
provide
consider the
an
build.
expectation?
I consider the building, the patent. I consider the machinery. I consider the intellectual
Yeah.
capital, maybe, if they're locked in. So I think of the stock. It can have splits. It can have all kinds of bookkeeping problems. It can have issues about what got issued, what options, what obligations, things like that. So I don't think of stocks the same way. I think of the physical building. I think of what does this company produce? Oh, it's got a bunch of Apple has thousands of patents. Disney has thousands of intellectual property claims on the stuff that they've designed or built or created or whatever, right? But I don't think of the stock in the same way for Disney or for Apple. So I just split it out in my head differently.
I see. I see.
That is
It
a
still promises.
wild chart that you just pulled up there, Maddie.
Yeah, how much
Trying to
crypto and
follow
gold
along.
and silver? Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Visual-
derivatives
visual.
and global real estate. That's
Yeah,
insane.
Visual Capital is very good graphics.
And
yeah.
then I want to show one graphic that I made that I can pull up here in just a second. But yeah, that's the idea of all the money in the world and visualizing that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into HEXter's pyramid, which is I've cleverly renamed HEXter's pyramid. And I did an episode on this.
How did you do that? That's pretty cool. We put that together. HEXter's, I love it. HEXter's pyramid.
And this is showing what that basically it's the idea that the hardest, like all the value is going to sink to like the hardest money. And Safety Amoose talks about it in the Bitcoin Standard a lot. And it's talked about elsewhere, but it's not really appreciated, I don't think, as much. That you know, this is crypto is like going to be in this layer below gold, but then Hex is going to be in the layer below that as the hardest money. And so what has been seen in worlds or in currencies around the world where, you know, there is this printing of $100 trillion bills and other hyperinflation is that people spend their the money that's inflating the most first. And they hold the harder money in their savings, and that's exactly what we see in Hex. Is what we would expect, that, you know, all of us, like we would rather spend our dollars than our Hex. We would rather spend our Bitcoin than our Hex, right? And that's because we're as rational, as mostly rational actors, or actors that are becoming more rational. We are we're able to realize, even without really putting our finger on it, that that this is more valuable, and so we hold on to that the hardest.
Well, it's the same sort of thing that happened in it's not Venezuela's story. I guess it's Venezuela's story. Is that the moment that they would get money, they would buy washing machines and, you know, physical items. You would buy things because you're basically trying to lock that value, right, before it deflate or inflates away.
Identity block. This is a $100 trillion bill. Okay, 100 trillion. I'm not a Zimbabwe billionaire. I'm this trillion. Get it right.
And
so it's like a T-share.
Yes. So
it's a T-share in the
Zimbabwe T-share, bro.
And I have a store where I sell these along with a coin you can load with Hex. It's called a T-share coin.
I love it.
That's pretty funny. Well, they weigh those
there,
right? You have to use so much of the money. It's weighed. It's not counted.
Yeah, they did do that, right? I think they did that in Weimar Germany as well during their hyperinflation in the 20s. It was like by the wheelbarrow.
Cash.
Yeah.
People would steal the wheelbarrow and dump the cash on the ground.
Yeah, you can buy this from me if you want.
Is it worth $1 trillion? I mean, how many is it? It's 100 trillion.
It's a $100 trillion bill.
So if I give you 100 trillion, if I give you $100 trillion, will you give me that $100 trillion? Is that is this even swap?
They're like collector's items because it's the largest bill that's ever actually was printed, and I sell it along with the 1 cent from the same run of currency. And this was printed the same time that Bitcoin was being invented and launched, 2008, I believe. And so it makes it a really cool thing to be able to show somebody who doesn't understand crypto to show like, oh wow, like paper money really does seem worthless, and crypto really is on top, and it's something that's better than that. And so that's but this is also the resource that you can use in order to gift staked hex, if you want to use the cold storage or just your own. I mean, any method, even if you write down the seed words. So I'll stop shilling this, but I had to bring it up because we're talking about fiat being worthless, basically.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man. I think I'm gonna
I
hop
think
off,
anything.
guys. Almost 2
Thanks
o'clock
for
in the morning
joining.
here. Absolutely.
It's
I
great to get
appreciate
to
you guys
talk to
having
you,
me.
Freddie. Thanks for
Rock and
coming.
roll. Definitely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything. And Bitfinesse, it's good to talk to you, man. I see you on Twitter all the time, and I see you on all the live streams. So it's good to actually finally meet you, man. I appreciate all the support,
I'm a lot more reasonable than people think I am.
No, I think you're great,
Don't do
man.
that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Why be reasonable? That's wasted effort.
Well, if we were all really smart, we'd be taking out massive billion-dollar loans and just buying everything that exists in the world. I mean, I'm an idiot, right? Because like, if you're responsible, you're the loser, right? So until something like Hex comes along and actually lets you be honest and be a winner, which is pretty nice.
One
Pretty
quick
cool.
thing. Do you think that there will be, and this is for everybody, do you think that there will be some sort of reset, financial reset?
Like what do they call it? A debt jubilee or something?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I think they will continue to inflate away. I think it'll be like 10 years, 15 years. I used to be a gold and silver bug personality like 10, 15 years ago, whatever. And, the chart doesn't lie. It's gold's done negative 1.9% or whatever. So it doesn't lie.
Yeah.
I think it still
when do we see
has
the dollar
value.
collapse? At what point are we to where Zimbabwe is and where Germany was?
It could be.
Well, I mean, here's the
inflation.
truth. Here's the truth. You could still spend that $100 trillion, Zimbabwe dollars. You could still buy eggs. You could still buy stuff. You just couldn't buy as much, right? And you had to spend it right away.
I think it was 2009. I sat down and I actually called Ron Paul, and I went because I'm here in Northern Virginia, so I'm really close to DC. So I called Ron Paul and I set up an appointment. I went down and I sat with him in his office. Yeah, it was awesome, dude. It was so cool. He signed my book and the Fed, and he's a doctor. He has terrible handwriting, so it looks like it says for Liberty, but it looks like effing Liberty. Ron Paul. I'll send you a picture of it, man. It's awesome. But I asked him the same question like 10, 12 years ago, and he said the first thing you're going to notice is food. You're going to see food. The price of food is going to skyrocket. That's the first thing that you're going to notice. And he said it's impacted by everything else. He said when you start to see the price of food go through the roof, he says we're very close to hyperinflation hitting and things not being good for anyone at all.
That's why, they say about the four pillars. It's almost like the prepper pillars. It's not just about the resources and what you put in your basement or something. It is about your community, because it ends up being your first tier of barter. You're going to say, okay, I guess we're going to go to this. Like, you've got that service, I've got this service, you've got this product or food, I've got that product or food I can produce. So, that's why rural places and agricultural places will be more insulated in general. They're not as dependent on like trade for your calories. You have to trade dollars for your calories right now. What do you actually produce, even if you're a graphic designer and people aren't buying graphic design services?
Right.
What do you actually produce, right? Do you grow your own food? Do you trade things? So like the rural communities usually will be fine. There's plenty of
I would offer kind of a different type of take that I think it could be a smooth transition. I think a new central bank currency, I think could be a good transition, because it'll digitize the dollar even more than it already is, and it'll basically make it so I think that the value is going to continue to erode of the dollar, but I think that people are kind of stuck in that system, and we could see the government like just take over Coinbase and say, oh, that's ours now, and that's going to be what's going to be under the dollar. So you still have the dollar, but there's going to be crypto backing it basically, and they're going to continue to erode that value. And so,
Yeah, it'd be like Tether.
You can look at all the Mike Maloney stuff. I mean, he produced a long series about the history of money and dollar and all that stuff. Like Mike Maloney on YouTube is really good about that. And then most people, we call it the dollar. Your grandparents called it the dollar. Your great grandparents called it the dollar. But they were different currencies. They were different from each other. So they had silver backed, and they had Bretton Woods, and they had gold standards, and they were all, the continental dollar was a certain amount of silver. So we call it the dollar, but it's just a familiar term. It's morphed over like every 40 years. It still morphs. It changes.
And technology is a deflationary force, is what Jeff Booth said. And so that's actually counteracting. And so we would actually live in a much more abundant state already if our value wasn't being eroded. And so there are these two factors at play, but some people argue that at any moment, or whatever it is, like a technology could make a leap forward, let's say with artificial intelligence, and all of that's a game changer that does create more abundance in the system despite all the overspending. And so I think that if we look at incentives, the modern monetary theory, like that's taught to all economists because that benefits people who are already in power, but that printing it more is okay, but that doesn't make any sense. So I think it's the more that we all are able to share the different wise things that we've learned. I learned stuff from all of you, and it's really awesome. So
yeah,
I think it's going to take a lot longer than any of us can maybe imagine for the dollar to collapse. I thought the dollar was done in 2008. I was wrong. I'm probably going to be wrong forever, at least for the rest of my life. I think everything's just going to keep going up, and I don't think we really know how high the prices of everything can get. And it might not be until maybe 70% of the population is dirt poor and actually can't buy food before something takes place, like the dollar crashing. Like what we know that all these dollars get printed, and a lot of them get put into the stock market. I suspect that there's been so much inflation in the stock market that just printing dollars and putting them in there is not as effective, for the same reason why as Bitcoin's price gets higher, it's harder for it to go even higher. So I think we're going to live in a world maybe. Yeah. And, I think we're going to live in a world maybe very soon where if you want to spend an American dollar in America, it's going to have to be at a business that is listed on the stock exchange just to help keep that thing pumped up. And they kind of have to keep it pumped up, right? Because if they don't keep it pumped, they start letting it do crashes and make major dips. That money comes out of there. And then
it's
it
like
might
sequestered
exacerbate
carbon.
Something like the dollar.
Yeah. That's an interesting
So,
but
is Bitcoin going up or is the dollar going down?
I thought about that today. That's wild to think about.
A gallon of gas is cheaper today than it's ever been. A bag of potato chips is cheaper today than it ever has been. You just takes a lot more dollars to buy them, but this stuff is cheaper. Things are getting cheaper.
Far cheaper to produce, far cheaper, far less human capital, far less human effort, far less land area to produce a certain crop. It's far less real cost to human beings, but the price is the same or higher, right? The same or higher because we do have more dollars chasing after the same goods and services, the same amount of goods and services.
Yep.
It's very. What we can do is we can just decide as a human race to be smaller people. We only date people shorter and smaller than ourselves. And over the next 30 years, we've got it solved because we'll all be 1 foot tall midgets. I've got the solution right there.
That's what I'm doing. My little hottie Mexican girl is like 5'1". She's tiny.
I read something that said in 1,000 years, everyone's going to look the same. It'll just be one race. It's not going to be a bunch of different races.
It will be great, and then we'll hate each other for our hairlines. You got that hairline, you suck. I'm gonna kill you and your family. It's like, whoa, man, it's just a hairline.
All the Hexicans will be able to, do that longevity program that Richard's going to start, and check in with us in 1,000 years and see if we all look the same.
Yeah,
It's already
Richard,
started.
we've got the
Yeah.
Hex locked.
Hex is a life extension technology.
Program.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But
Something crazy to think
between
about.
now and then, sorry, go ahead, Freddie.
No, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say that between now and then, when the dollar is worth so little that most people are starving to death, between now and then we've got a gap to get people into this awesome thing that
Yeah.
can just be a safe place for your money. That's it. It could just be trustlessly earning interest. Like,
Yeah.
so simple. There's this massive opportunity in front of us. So thanks,
I was
Maddie, for
crunching
this
the numbers
conference.
the other day
Doing great.
on the T shares and whatnot, and I was doing some Moonboy math, and I thought to myself, okay, these people, the top 2,000 Hex wallets, could very easily be the top 2,000 richest people in the world.
Man, don't say
Yeah,
that.
anything's possible.
Isn't
Who
that
knows?
what? Like,
It's all about adoption. Yeah.
If Hex does get up into the 500, the $1,000 range, the 2,000, and you have these T shares that are paying out these ridiculous amounts of money, the top 2,000 wallets could very easily surpass. I think what was it, $180 or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't take very much for Hexicans to be the top 200-300 richest people in the world.
Well, look, Freddie, it's
that's how the
talk
world
like
works.
that. It's talk like that that kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety because, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have a family. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have kids. Like, I don't know, but maybe, right? And if I did, I just don't know why I would ever sell any of my principal or even all of my interest. I just, like RG3, everybody talks about this. Like, I just don't understand why I would make a stake for less than 5,555 days and just keep doing that. And I don't know why I would ever fully exit a position in Hex. Like, where else are you going to put it? Are you going to put it in the bank? Are you nuts?
Right. No.
Where are you going to put it? You're going to put it in stocks. You're going to buy Coca-Cola stock. Great. Good luck.
Yeah,
No,
and do you want to be part of
yeah.
something that's
Urban
3
network.
million X or something that's 300 something X? Like, where do you want
Yeah.
to put your bet on multiples?
Well, you
Yeah.
don't have to sell it to have a net worth higher than a Jeff Bezos or a Bill Gates. You could still have your net
Well,
worth.
And that's the thing. If you sell, you got to sell into the dollar eventually. Like, that's what spends. So,
Well,
don't sell.
that's the
Just break
society
off
now.
tiny little
That's the
pieces.
culture now. It's, pretty soon, and I hope it gets this way, that crypto will have a mass adoption, and you'll be able to go and spend your ETH at Starbucks. And I mean, they already have cards. Crypto.com has that now, where you can load crypto onto it, and then you go and spend as USD, and then they just take it off of your crypto balance. I think in the future that will be a possibility. So yes, maybe you will have to convert it into US dollars first, but I do believe that in the future we will see adoption to the point where you can just spend whatever crypto you have. There'll be a conversion
Well,
and you just go through.
USDC is an ERC20. So right there, on Uniswap, you can break off tiny little pieces of your interest and throw it into swap it for USDC on Uniswap, and that'll spend fine if we're really going to do FedCoin. It's going to be an ERC20. You can't build
It might be
anything
something.
on
It might be something
Bitcoin.
instead of being like a central. I mean, potential. Like you were saying something about the dollar has to be spent at these bigger corporations. You were saying that earlier, or even it migrates down to the smaller businesses and so forth, and say, okay, we only accept dollar here. It's kind of what we do now, right? You only accept dollar. You don't accept UK pound or euro or whatever. You accept dollar. So it might actually be like, I know that the transaction cost, they talk about, why would you spend $8 to buy a $4 cup of coffee, right? In transaction costs or whatever. But you could, just like you do with certain gift cards, you could preload. And okay, I do go to Starbucks pretty regularly. Let me preload and trust that company of Starbucks with $100 worth of ETH or Hex or whatever you want to call. And you preload just like you would do any other, you prepay. And then you just redeem it as you go, because that ledger that Starbucks runs, they're going to say, okay, you've you've clipped this card now. You've got 10 more cups of coffee due to you, and we owe you 9. Stuff like that. So there's all kinds of systems of second layer that doesn't have to be every time I do a transaction, every time I do a purchase, I have to wait for this to clear as sound money, be verified, all that stuff like that before I can walk away. There's all kinds of systems that businesses already build that are using existing databases and their own second layer tier and say, okay, you are our loyal customer and we have your account on file and you are owed a bunch of coffee, things like that. You paid for beginning of the year. So there's all kinds of stuff. If Fed coin happens, it might be that the coin itself has deflation or inflation built into it. It might not necessarily be that the Fed says, here's what the rate's going to be. Here's what our consensus is publicly. It's just built into the coin, stuff like that.
Well, I think whatever we do decide to actually spend with as a world, right? Whatever we decide to spend with, that thing is going to have to be so almost valueless that I just have this suspicion, this thinking that whatever it is, it's going to be something that can just be printed into oblivion, which is fine, but so long as you're not keeping your transfer of value and time in that thing, right? So long as there's a thing that actually holds value, you can put yourself into. Who cares what the spending thing is? Let's use blades of grass. The only reason we don't spend blades of grass is because everyone can grow it, but that's what the dollar is, right? Everybody's printing it. You might as well be.
Paper. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully it's something virtually worthless that we decide to transact with. That if a bunch of it gets stolen or lost, like Gary said, it's no big deal. I held this $100 in this thing as collateral so I can buy a cup of coffee. No biggie.
Yeah.
It's not where my whole
why
life
would you
is.
why would you want money that's not programmable? If you had to
Right.
choose.
Yeah.
What do you want? You want money that's not programmable or money that is?
I just want an endless credit card. I don't even want money. I just want to be able to swipe something that I had no consequences.
Unlimited.
And they'll be like, yeah, I think I owe a bill. I have no idea. They don't ever send it to me.
Okay, now that's a good system.
An endless credit card. I mean, look, if they print $6 trillion, I've heard this argument too. If they can print $6 trillion to solve the world's aches over the economy this past year, why do we pay taxes? What's the reason that we pay taxes? Well, because eventually it has to collapse. Eventually it has to collapse. You can't, if you can say, why do we pay taxes at all? If you can just print the money, pay the government, pay the war machine, pay whatever you need to pay, but why tax me, right? So it's the same sort of thing that every society goes through over 5,000 years of history, is that eventually that comes back to roost. Eventually that doesn't, you can't print wealth. Yeah.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
Do you know why I pay taxes? I'll tell you exactly why I pay taxes. I pay taxes so a group of dudes with guns don't show up to my door.
I wasn't saying don't pay taxes. Get this straight. Anybody's in the audience, pay your taxes. I love
pay
taxes.
your taxes, everybody.
Especially with my jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico is very
gotta
nice to tax people. Yeah. Consider taxes in Puerto Rico.
Oh, we're all.
Don't you have to be there for 10 years first before you can take advantage of the tax breaks?
First year.
Really?
Your first
You
year.
just have to live there for 6 months, right? 6 months out of the year. You have to,
181 days of a calendar year. 181
You
days.
said 5 months. If it's a weird year.
If it's a weird year like a hurricane, they'll forgive it, for a 30-day period. But basically, what it is if you ask your friends, neighbor, if the IRS or state governments ask your friends, neighbors, relatives, and so forth, and they say, where does he spend most of his time? And they say, oh, he's always in California. He is only here like 2 months of the year. You're screwed. Like, you didn't pass the closer connection test. So you can do 181 days and keep it audited and provable. You can have all your friends, neighbors, and utility bills and registration and documentation that you really are a Puerto Rican. And you can build an e-commerce company and thrive. Or you can
So
stay
I
where
have
you're
to tell people that no.
Yeah, they need to
where
know
I
that
am.
you live where you.
Okay.
Well, your neighbors should know, the person you're renting from, the mortgage that you pay, the credit card bill that you paid for lunch. All of that will know, right? It's going to know that you are somewhere, wherever you are, unless you're, anonymous or somebody.
All right, I really got to go, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on here, and I always enjoy chatting with all of you. Coming up on 2:00 in the morning, I got to be up with my son in the morning.
It's 3:00 here.
We'll see you next time.
Where are you?
It's been
Thanks,
real.
Freddie.
Where are you
You're
at?
East
Where is it?
You're
3:00?
East Coast. I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm in AST.
Okay.
You're
Holy cow.
You're in EST.
Whew.
Suffer.
Yeah. More power to you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Well, hopefully you guys can power through, but thank you guys for everything, and I'll see you guys out there in the Twitter world.
See you later.
Thanks, Freddie.
Later, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off too. I got to talk tomorrow. I got stuff to do, but it was really good.
Sounds
I mean,
good.
your presentation again. I did. I watched Joe and then watched your presentation. A great conference as far as the first day. The keynote was amazing. I was praising them for the past hour before coming in here. Just really, really good content that was put out today. Yeah. All right, guys.
We'll look forward to hearing you talk tomorrow. And thanks again for coming by tonight. It's been awesome as usual.
All right. See you, Vanessa. See you, Maddie. Bye.
See you, Gary.
All right. And then there were two.
Well. Last man standing.
We have a bigger crowd than when we started. There's 90 people just on one platform watching us. So we are killing it.
Yeah, this first day of the conference, no real hiccups.
It went so well, didn't it?
Very impressive. Very impressive. It just has me thinking, like, why is this thing gonna end one day? I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. Like, part of me is
'Cause,
predicting that conference will actually go on every day from now until when we die, but it'll probably also end on Saturday when Richard gives his keynote.
I mean, I bet there are people who would be willing to mine a network to keep this particular avenue of media open for people to just jump in and jump out. I mean, the fact that people
We're getting
can jump
closer
in
and closer. You're the one who called that.
What do you mean?
You called it that it's not too late to get into Hex, but it is too late to like keep up with all the content.
There's so much.
That was a really good insight.
Is that not true though? I mean, is that not the absolute truth?
Yes.
It's getting real close. Like the cutoff time might be tomorrow. After tomorrow, you might not ever be able to catch up on Hex content if you're not in by tomorrow. We're getting close.
Yes. These are the final moments. You must FOMO into the content now.
Yeah. Opportunity slipping away. Yeah, and those are going to be real OGs. People are like, oh man, I've caught every live stream conversation that took place with Hex.
Like Serena.
From the beginning.
Serena has seen every Discourse Syndicate.
Dang. Yeah, I'm getting through them. Like I said, I'm at the 24-hour stream at the end of Big Payday, and there's just so many
what
more
hour
to go.
Are you on?
I'm done.
Did you see?
I got all.
Did you see my talk with Richard at the end?
Yes, I did.
Dude, that was so much fun.
I bet. I bet. And I mean, how great is this? How great is this? I mean, this is the greatest thing that. What's better than Hex and our community? And what's better? We've got people from all over the world, people who all love talking to each other. Like we're all really good friends. It's insane.
Yes.
What other thing is like this? Paintball's not like this. I mean, sports aren't really like this. What? This is it.
This is it. Yeah. And so it's going to be fascinating to see how we keep growing and bringing more people in who are also going to have lots of talents and interests that are going to combine. And I mean, it's like, crypto coffee. Or sorry, crypto Kool-Aid. There are so many beverages that we have in the community now, and crypto Kool-Aid. He made the background for the conference, and does lots of like really awesome work, and it's just gonna be more and more people who continue to bring their skill sets.
I can't believe Richard Hart created Hex. I mean,
What do you mean?
I just, I can't believe it. I can't believe there's a human on the planet who decided to just make like the best thing. You know, if you think about any single thing that involves money, you know, there's something that just stinks about that thing. There's properties that just reek, right? And you just sat down and thought, okay, what's the best way to do this to incentivize good behavior, to incentivize people holding their money in a thing, because in crypto you're gonna have to hold it for a long time anyway. Like what's the best thing? What's the best thing that gives power to people, to keep people's control of their own money in their own hands, and to provide them a return without having to relinquish that control? What's the best thing? What's the best thing? Like, what sucks about the stock market? What sucks about 401k? What if we just delete those variables that suck? What sucks about, what sucks about the Federal Reserve? I love the Federal
Yeah.
Reserve, except that you and I, my friend, are not the first ones to get the money. Like, that's really the only thing that sucks about the Federal Reserve,
Yeah, that's the problem.
right?
Agreed.
So it's like, just Hex is just this one thing that just fixes all of that. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe I'm
It
like, it's just
it doesn't
somebody
fix
built that,
income inequality. It doesn't fix income inequality, but it is still a better system.
but there can never be income equality, right? Because like I think the work you do for society is far greater than the
Abundance.
work I do for society, right? So I don't think we need
Well,
in
but you're transporting physical goods, which is absolutely necessary. I mean,
I
and
mean, it
and
depends on to whom,
and
right?
you need to stop considering yourself to just be doing that, because you're a thought leader now in Hex, and it's because you have such good ideas. This is a meritocracy. If
Right.
I was way more terrible than I am, I wouldn't be here with you, and likewise, it's like, you are contributing a lot of value, and so that, that's a, I mean, that's a product, right? Like, advancing ideas, being parts of a think tank, and all of us kind of going on each other's shows and adding value and ideas. Those are all getting, those are all probably evolving. I mean, that's how it feels to me. And there are some people. I mean, there's one person in particular who has messaged me and like, has so many deep insights, and it's like, they're not really interested in making them public, but it's, there are some people out there who are playing the game at a very deep level and having an understanding of Hex at a very deep level. And it's, even Richard has, admitted that there are parts that he understands better now that he's been watching the system operate, and he didn't initially predict that people would early end stake to get more T shares with the stakes that they made that were too early, and all that kind of stuff. It's so cool to see everybody in the community growing, but that's a result of what you and I are doing right now.
Well, yeah, 100% correct. Look, Maddie, you and I can disagree all night about who provides more value to society, right? In the end, that's in the end, here's what we can agree on, is that you don't deserve to have your blood drained from you, and neither do I, right? Like, we shouldn't
Right.
have our value just sucked away from us, right? So let's let society determine what we as human beings are all worth, respective to what we decide to provide society, and then let us take whatever we are uh, paid for our work, and let us have a place where we can put it where it's just not going to be drained, and maybe it can grow a little bit, but but a safe place, right? So Hex being here, it's
I'm
like,
in.
great, now we can have a meritocracy because people can store their value somewhere where it can not be affected by what the governmental and the business environment is, for the better or for the worse.
Technology is creating abundance, and it's going in an accelerated rate. And so I am super optimistic about the outcome. One of the things that I skipped over on my speech tonight because I didn't have time, and because it wasn't as well polished, is this idea that Stephen Hawking was obsessed about when he died, was the Fermi paradox. And it's not the Fergie, right? That's a different
Right.
paradox than the Fermi paradox. But this is in astrophysics where they say, why haven't we found the intelligent life out there? It's got to exist, right? And statistically, it should. And the unfortunate answer that Stephen Hawking reached was that he worries that all intelligent life destroys itself, and that it's part of the base code of intelligence. And when you evolve in a competitive environment, that that the fittest gain so much power that that like society, the morals don't evolve as fast as the intelligence, basically. And I think this, if it has played out, millions of times already in the universe, where intelligence has been created and then destroyed itself, I think I'm still hopeful that this time could be different because there's this new thing that's never existed. I know that's, we'll just have to see in the next 1,000 years. Hopefully, all this life extension stuff will work out and make us still as healthy as we are today. But the idea is that crypto is more than just money. It is a decentralized trust system, and it allows for decentralizing of power, and possibly that could lead to a more abundant future and a different outcome when so like, we might be the first aliens to like get it right.
Well, I have to assume that everyone along the way has figured out that trusting people, being forced to trust people, like, trust who you want, but being forced to trust people sucks, because the response is obvious. Like, you have to trust me now. Now I've got you in my clutches, right? So it feels like Hex is always, like when physicists and mathematicians, great ones, when they stumble upon equations,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them say that when the light bulb goes off in their head, retrospectively, they say, well, it didn't feel like I created it. It feels like I discovered it. Like, they feel like these equations were always there. They just finally
Yeah.
stumbled upon them. And that's what Hex feels like. It feels like Hex was always here. Like, we've always had Hex. But now we have it. Now it's been brought forth into the more or less the physical world, where it can be interacted with, where we can actually use it and put it to its best use. But this idea has always
Yeah.
been here. Like, what if? I mean, I wrote a paper in college. Like, what if everyone was honest? Well, we wouldn't need money.
Yes.
Things wouldn't cost anything, but everyone would have to be honest, because the one dishonest guy kind of ruins the whole system.
And I definitely agree with that, and think it's a fascinating idea. Exactly what you're saying. Yeah. It's and really what we're dealing with here is, this is a system that is operating in the fourth dimension. right? Because it's the fourth dimension that is time. And
Time.
when you can send money to your future self, that's operating on a different level of space-time.
Yeah.
I mean, it is,
Yeah.
right? And that's another thing that isn't really appreciated yet, is that this is immutable. And Andreas so eloquently puts that there's only one level of immutability, and it's being immutable. Something is not a degree of immutable. It's whatever the most immutable thing is. That's what is defined as immutable, and everything that was before that used to hold that title loses its title. So
You're either pregnant or you're not.
um
It's on and off. It's 1 and 0. Like once we have the new definition of what immutable is, the previous most immutable thing, it's garbage now. It is or it isn't.
yeah, exactly. And so Bitcoin can, through consensus, just like a government, change their monetary policy. Hex can't do that.
Right.
I mean, we could airdrop to a different system or something, but that's the closest thing. The actual code isn't going to change because it's locked in the Ethereum block from 2019.
You know, if I created Hex, I was thinking about this today. Like, okay, the code's locked. Good thing old Biffiness here didn't create Hex, because I would have locked it like 2 weeks early and then had this like, I mean, I couldn't have done any of this, right? But I could just imagine like how easy it could have been for the whole code base to be almost perfect, and then for the creator just to get a little too antsy, lock it, and then 2 days later go, oh crap, oh no, I forgot this thing. And no, it has to be perfect. It's got to work all the time. It can't ever go down. It's like, oh man. So it's beautiful.
I mean, like, Hex has had 100% uptime, and you know,
What?
technically there was a display error on the website once, and that's still, but that's what the difference is. That's the difference between what is Hex, is the code that's locked, and the way we access it, which is the website, which is a decentralized application. It's just reading off the contract, and so that can I mean, you know, that can have a display error, and that gets fixed, and you know, it's fine. Like, but that is not the code, because that's not what's getting checked in every transaction, right? The reason why cryptocurrency is a phenomenal invention is because it prevents double spending. That's the bottom line. And so in Hex, it's not only doing that, but it's also creating this huge future timeline of stuff and incentivizing everybody to like just lock it up into the future. And I mean, once people really understand this, it's going to be game over for lots of other investments, I think.
Well,
Okay,
it's like the meteor just hit the ocean, right? So the ripples from that, the waves from that are gonna go far and wide. Yeah, right now the rock just hit the water.
I'm gonna leave this one up. This is so true.
You know, we're in the first year of this thing, you know, and there's no telling what the secondary, tertiary, quaternary events of Hex.
What about the quintiary? That's obvious.
I mean,
right?
on into time. I mean,
well,
there's no telling.
Biff and S, you invented Hex in 5th grade, so we need to hear from you what's going to be in the future.
Oh boy.
And I say that with more respect than it sounds, because I mean, you know, you are saying that you appreciated the value of honesty and saw how that relates to interpersonal dimensions on a societal level. So kudos. but now I
Thanks.
want to know what happens next. And I don't want to take no for an answer of like, you don't know what's, you know what's going to happen. You're Bitfinex. You operate on the fifth dimension.
Do I know what's going to happen next?
Access the part of your brain that knows what's going to happen next. So if you knew what was going to happen next, what would you say?
I guess that everybody who's in Hex is going to tell other people about it to the hardest degree that they can. I mean, Hex is going to,
Instead of accumulating more for themselves, you think everybody's going to be that altruistic?
I think they're going to accumulate for themselves as hard as they can. But I mean, this is going to take time, right? And
Yeah.
anybody who's talked to anyone about Hex quickly understands Hex's biggest flaw. Hex has one massive flaw, and it's how good it is. You tell someone, you just explain what it is, and they're offended. Like all good things, it's offensive how good it is. It's so offensive to so many people. So yeah, I think it's going to take time before it actually engulfs all the things that involve money and middlemen. It's just a lot of things. I don't just think it's gold. I don't just think it's stocks. I don't think it's just 401ks. I think it's all that stuff. I think it's all everything that separates you and your money. I think eventually all that energy is going to go into Hex. So that's going to take time. But when it gets to a certain point, the differences in time that it's going to take to gain more ground is going to shrink and shrink and shrink. And that's your opportunity shrinking away. So yeah, I think Hex is so good, people can't look. I feel that too. I don't want to tell anybody about Hex. I don't. I want to be greedy and buy it all up, but I only make so much money.
Yeah.
So I've taken steps to lower my overhead. Like I've done drastic
I know,
things with
yeah.
my
That's
life
awesome.
to like bump my holdings, but it's so good. Tonight, look, I'm in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. I don't know if I'm going east or west, right? I talked to this little sweet lady in this shop across the street in Snowshoe, Pennsylvania, and she told me about her husband dying, and she had fire insurance and flood insurance and all these insurances on her house. And the thing that actually brought down her house was just the roof caved in, but the insurance company came in and didn't see any water. So they said, we can't cover this because it's not water damage. And she thought, I should have just been dishonest and sprayed water on the house after it collapsed, and insurance would have paid for it. And so she had been scammed by, by the system. Like everyone gets scammed. And I just told her, hey, go to hex.com and just read, because she mentioned she has daughters, she has younger family members who are in the military and who are spread out all across the world, and she has a big family. But herself, she's about done with life. Her husband's passed away. She got scammed one last good time. But it's like, well, that woman remembers banks paying interest. She remembers
Hell
that.
yeah.
And I told her, hey, I think the problem to the money in the middleman problem is likely resolved. The thing that's likely to resolve that is here. We've got it now. So, you don't have to, like, the idea of insurance is so weird. You're gambling, right? You're paying a little bit every month as like a stop loss, so that if something bad does happen and you need a massive payout, it's there. But hopefully it only happens to a few people. Otherwise the fund goes bankrupt. And
Sounds like a protection racket.
does sound like a protection racket, especially since all the funds, they take all that money you gave them, they hire the best lawyers who can justify getting out of all the claims. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you're paying the people robbing you. How do your knees feel, right? So I told her about hex.com, and it's just like that lady's going to see how this thing, if it existed 40 years ago, could have made her life wildly different. That lady's not, she's likely not going to hesitate to tell her children about it, tell her grandchildren about it. It is hard not to tell people, hey, just go to hex.com. You what are you going to misspell it? How do you misspell hex? How do you do that? What else would you put in the browser if
Like
not HEX?
HECKS.
FRECKLES. I don't know how you misspell hex. Like,
It's,
I,
but he
I,
bought all those too. So anything you could think of goes there.
I know. It's beautiful.
It is.
Beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I think more people are going to have a lot more of their personal individual power moving forward into the future. And I think the further we move into the future, the exponentially more people will have control of their own individual personal power. That's how you change the world. I mean, if you really want the world to represent the collective needs and wants and desires and attributes of all the people as individuals, Hex is, it's a great start. It's a great start, but there's no end. There's no end in Hex. It's going to be generational.
I think so too. Yeah. That's what I think as well.
I mean, the idea that this is a cryptocurrency that you buy and hold and hope it goes up and you sell it. What? What'd you just? Yeah. What? Why would you do? Why would you do
Well,
that?
yeah, people are gonna, I mean, people get addicted to like even Bitcoin and stuff. Like, what do you think it's gonna happen in Hex? It's addicting to have, and that's where the line between like an addiction and something that is just really engaging comes to bear, because it's like, what is it that, what is the effect that it's having? Is it improving your functioning, or is it decreasing your functioning? Is clinically how we, kind of determine. And then it's nice to know what the consequences are. So somebody could have an addiction that hasn't caught up to them yet. But really, it's just a super engaging system. And if Hex, as I predict, becomes a health engine and not just a truth engine, I think then it's going to have, use cases that haven't even been thought of yet.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, if you're gonna change, if you're gonna build a thing that's world changing, it can't be too boring. So Bitcoin's cool, but it's too boring. Look, you're gonna get addicted to Bitcoin, and then you're gonna get addicted to Hex. But here's the real difference, right? When you're addicted to Bitcoin, you end up losing your money on the exchanges, because buying it and holding it's just too boring. There's not enough for you to
Well,
do to amuse yourself. But in Hex, when you get addicted to Hex, you end up finding ways to maximize your income, cut the dead weight from your life, and you try to find better ways to extend that money out into the future. Like, I can't stop making 5,555 stakes. Can't do it. Only one of my stakes is a 10-year stake. Everything else is a 15-year stake. And I'm like, man, it's only 14 years before those 15-year stakes start popping up. I can't
yeah,
sell it,
yeah, it's
because
right
then you're
around the
broke again.
corner, isn't it?
I
Yeah,
mean, I was in college 15 years ago. 15 years ago was like, it flew by so fast. And I forgot who said this, but I heard a Hexican say this very recently, that the time, I think it was Big Pep. He said, the time is going to pass anyway. It's what you do right now. It matters. And it matters in a different way than it does today, than it did yesterday. Because the T-share price never goes down. It always goes up. So tomorrow it's going to cost you more Hex to get a T-share.
Yeah.
Day after that, it's going to cost you more. And the more T-shares you
I'm
have, the more hex it'll pay out when your stake is expired.
I'm not gonna lie, like, I like, even though I said tonight that, like, we shouldn't beat ourselves up too bad for like not doing 15-year stakes from the beginning, like
Yeah.
I feel bad
I
because
feel like
I
dude, I
realized,
feel like such an idiot.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
I realized
no,
the
I'm
other
an
day that like
idiot.
my friends who like got the Uniswap airdrop because I gave them $20 worth of ETH and had them convert it to Hex, like, and then I had them convert that in their Uniswap airdrop into Hex, and then I either staked it for them or had them stake it, and but we only like I only did 10 years for that, and that's like, like, cause that's already worth, like, it's already worth 8 or 9 or 10K, like just that $20, like it's insane. And but after the presentation tonight, I was like, wow, like what a dick move for me to do is like, I only staked him for 10 years, like, but that was so many months ago. I mean, it's just like,
Well, that's what I did to my friend Steve. I rushed, I hurried, I sped, I I may or may not have broke a few laws, but I got his ETH into my wallet, into one of my sub wallets, and I staked it before the big payday, and I only staked it for 10 years. Steve, and I've apologized to him. Steve, I'm sorry, man. So when that stake expires, okay, he's going to end his stake on time, okay? Then he's likely going to want to restake it, or a lot of it, maybe surely most of it, but he's going to buy a lot fewer T-shares because the price is going to be so much more expensive. In 10 years, the price of a T-share is going to be insane in 10 years, and
thank you,
then
Walter.
he's going to have to like think about, man, I could have had the previous amount of T-shares. I could have had more T-shares for an extra 5 years.
Yeah, it just hurts because it was like free money, so it's like, it's not even real. It's like I
Tell
don't know.
yourself that. I mean, hey, that's what I tell myself. I just tell myself none of this is real. None of this. Just do the best you can, man. None of this is real. But
I mean, the Walter's right. 10 years is gonna be just fine for them, and this is a learning process, and like we said with the marshmallow example, like that, this is something that we are changing our ways of thinking to be more long term, and if you're not gonna be the most long term thinking that you ever are in the beginning anyway. It's like it's a process. So I think we should all pat ourselves on the back, like we're doing just
we're here.
fine, like
We're here, man.
we're here early, and we're I think if Steph and Firebun or if Steph hadn't created the league system, I think a lot more people would have not understood the true power of T-shares, because um, it was kind of in the fine print at first.
It helps me. Like I look at my little rank, and it's hard to understand where we are. I look. I'm not knocking my hexagons, right? I love you guys, but sometimes I wonder if you guys really know where we are. I don't know. I don't know if I know where I'm at. It's just that Hex is just going to demolish everything. You know that, right? Like, other than you got to get your dollar into a thing where you can buy Ethereum so you can swap it for Hex, there's almost no reason for a bank to exist. There's no reason for stocks to exist now. Why would I ever put my money in there? Ever? Why would I ever? And I've never put my money in a 401k. I've always felt like good luck with that. But now, we've got Hex now. Oh boy. Richard, continue with your masterful operational security. Please don't tell anybody where you're at, man. Ever, ever. He knows that. He knows that. I can't believe someone had the guts to actually to say, hey guys, we got it now. It's built. It's done. And it only took like 2 years. It was so fast. Like, I think that really hindered my understanding of what Hex is, because I was just working in the oil field, listening to Richard Hart, cool keyboards, awesome hats. Okay, CFD. Okay, he's making this thing,
Yeah.
and now it's here, and it's like I didn't want to hear about T shares. I just wanted his thing, because I'm like, this guy's legitimate. I trust this guy. This guy's super,
Well,
way smarter than us.
yeah, it wasn't paying high interest at first.
I don't know if I even thought about interest
It wasn't
at the very beginning.
It was only paying like 5 or 10% interest, and I say
Yeah.
only, but it's like we knew that there was going to be higher interest down the road probably, and so that's another reason why some people waited, including myself, and then Richard started dropping clues, and that's that's when we wised up and staked kind of as long as we could, or started to take a look more at the locking features. But for a while there, I think I was only in the first 6 months. I was probably only probably 20 or 30% staked.
Oh, what was I? I don't think I've ever held. At one point, I had a little bit of Hex liquid. Why was that? I think just because I had already staked a bunch. I just made a stake, and I didn't want it. Somehow there were Hex coins that didn't get staked, so they were like leftover coins. But I think they were like 3% of the Hex coins I had. So at one point I was 3% unstaked. But for me, like, this goes back to like when I was trading stocks. When I was trading stocks and I had my little system or whatever, back then I had the mindset of like, okay, if I buy a candy bar that I don't really need today, in 10 years from now, that could be a $6,000 candy bar. I've always had that mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because
Value your future wealth.
Yeah, and that's just from doubling money every year. So Hex, yes, it guarantees the interest that it says it's going to pay you, but the amount of interest that you actually get paid is dependent on how many people are staked. And the fewer people who are staked, the higher that interest rate goes, right? So we don't know that it's it's likely not going to stay at 40% forever. People are going to want to be stakers.
Yeah. Well, somebody's asking, and a really good question here is asking, how does the interest rate rise from 25% to 40%? Does that mean it increases over time somehow? What's happening right now is that when all of the Hex was created in the year launch phase, the origin address ended up getting probably more than it wanted. I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but it's right now, that's where the interest is coming from, is because the origin address owns 70% of the coins. I would guess that that's not known, but it's estimated. It's keeping those liquid, so the origin address is voluntarily paying a higher interest rate to the 10% of people who are in reality who are staked, and the origin address might have 80% of the coins. It's like 70 to 80% is kind of what those of us who have thought about it a lot are estimating. And so that is, so it's but it's part of the design, right? it's part of the design for the origin address to be able to spread out that high interest voluntarily and to have a lever to be able to compete with other projects that might come along or just to incentivize people. And at any time, it could stake, and then that would drop the interest rate down to whatever whatever it would be if 100% of people are staked, then it's only 3.69%. But if less people are staked, or all those origin address coins, then it's being paid by diluting the origin address, and the origin address knows that. That's the part of the design of Hex. So that's where the money is really coming from. Is from the Genesis account, basically, still over time.
Yes. So the smart contract always has what it needs to pay your wallet. Always, to pay your stakes, whatever you deserve. The smart contract will always have what it needs to pay you what you are due according to how many T-shares you have and what the ratio of stakers and liquid holders are, because it's a smart contract that controls everything with the currency, which is locked, immutable, verified, 2 security audits, and economics audit. The smart contract dispenses at 3.69% inflation per year to the stakers, not to miners who are going to dump on your head. Not good for price.
Well put.
In the very beginning, I just knew, all I really knew was that Richard was an aggressive person, and that he came out, showed his face, and defended the thing that he was involved with from very, very early on, from back in the day. I respected that, and I knew that he saw the flaws in Bitcoin. He saw that, hey, there's all these coins locked in the Genesis block. It's just dead economic mass. Like, he saw that there's major flaws in this ecosystem. It's broken. But I didn't think that Richard was gonna create a thing that fixed all the problems. It just never. It's interesting that it never really crossed my mind that Richard Hart might just create a thing that fixes all the things that suck about the previous thing.
How
really,
dare
just
you
gonna
not
fix
think that
all
from the beginning?
I don't know why I didn't think that.
How dare you, Bitfinesse?
Yeah, why didn't I? I mean, like, who does that? Who, if you take it, I don't know. We just never see that.
How many billionaires sit around on YouTube on a throne just giving away knowledge and money?
I love that.
And everything. How many?
I love that.
You tell me.
I love
and then you
that.
tell me how many of them do AMAs for hours upon hours.
Dude, 8 hours?
Tell me.
I love that. Him just, and, oh, you're a troll? He'll talk to you. He'll talk to you, troll. Oh, you're gonna say nasty things about him. You're gonna make fun of him. You're gonna just what? And he'll own you. He'll slaughter you, and then he'll even be nice to you. It's like
he said.
Oh, this
he said,
is fun.
like, I've reached my optimum ratio of trolls. 20% trolls to 80% people who are real.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. I mean, it's so cool to meet the people who are also seeing Richard Hart back then, because I was really wondering, like, who else? I mean, I'm digging this stuff, but who else is digging this stuff? What do these people look like? Who are these people? What country are they from? And it's kind of everybody. It's just the coolest people. Just take all the coolest people you can find. Those are the people. The Hexicans. It's great. It's so good.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, we've really covered a lot here. And did Joe just exit scam us? He better not. everybody needs to understand that Joe Hexotic has been doing like an immense amount of work behind the scenes. He's been running a whole side stream on deck thing that we set up so that we could make sure that everybody would be able to present without any hiccups or any problems. And so he's been making sure that all the green screens are working, that people's audio is all set up, and he's been answering questions and just doing so much of the organization here. It's awesome. Like it's awesome to see him at work because he is just doing so much for Hex, and so I definitely want to shout him out now that he's asleep and like won't hear all the nice things I have to say about him.
Well, these guys with these thrones, you know, to get me one. These thrones
You
have
know,
superpowers.
I think you're right. People who own thrones and take omega-3 and like Hex, they're all right with me. And
Yeah, watch out for those guys. Don't cross those guys because they got a team
that's
behind
right.
them. Yeah.
Oh man, I just remembered one of the topics I wanted to cover is like forget the price of Hex. We know it's going to go up and to the right. I don't need any predictions there. I want to know how many fights are going to break out at the next Bitcoin conference whenever all of us Hexicans go there. like between us and like all of the other, because it's all like military people basically. Like we need to bring this picture back up of
yeah, bring it back up. It might take half of us, right? Because look, a shoulder holster is not going to do it. It might take half of us to complete Richard Hart's shirt that illustrates the price chart of Hex over the other coins. I love that idea. I'm going to have a holster here with the price chart, extra price chart. And it's like, yeah, we might need people there with legit billboards to illustrate the difference in performance of these coins. I love that picture.
It's pretty cool. Let's see. So, yeah, okay, we were like, okay, there you go. Joe Hexotic, what was he doing? We were joking that he fell asleep. Okay, he was still working. He was talking to Tilbarus on Telegram. See? That's awesome. That's very cool.
Post some of his work if you can, if he'll, if he'll let us.
Yeah, I think, well, I hope he's going to be selling his master painting that he did, because I told him he's more than welcome to shill it in the comments, or, we'll find a way to feature it if he wants. Yes. Thank you so much, for real. Oh,
Yeah,
I mean, not
Joe,
just Jack's, but
great work.
everybody's.
Yeah, Hexicans are super hard workers. It's insane.
Okay, yeah. We want you to show it, and that'd be great. Yeah, let's make sure to feature that, because Toblerus, he is one of my first guests, and so we go way back, several weeks.
Toblerus, if you would, please follow me on Twitter. I wanna see you, man. I wanna see. Speaking of Hex art, surely we've got a Hexican who's a tattoo artist, right? Surely. I think there's going to be a lot of people.
I don't think we do, because there was a bounty for like tens of thousands of dollars the other night, and nobody took it. So I don't think so.
Is it bad of me that I want it to be Valiant Brand? Valiant Brand, I want you to learn. I want you to become an expert in tattooing.
All right.
Become the world's best tattoo artist, right? So that we can have a standardized Hex tattoo, from an authorized Hex tattoo artist,
That sounds like centralization.
It does, but some things are good for centralization, right? Some things, like some things. Most things are better decentralized, but there's a few things that are good, like you and the few people you worked with to pull this thing off. Way easier to do than everyone being involved with no direction.
Oh, Serena, this is an old version, actually. That's the problem. My brain's been so scrambled by like coordinating everything. There were like 100 versions. So yeah, you're in the final version. This isn't the final version. I'm 97% sure. Yeah.
I mean, if I could buy one of these in a frame, how could I not?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
well,
come on.
Thank you.
I'm
getting into the NFT business, so let's talk,
I mean, this thing is just it says everything that needs to be said, right? It's so good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so good. And yeah, there are so many people in Hex who are making awesome content, and it just blows me away.
Yeah, we've got a real I don't know what to call the HEXchange. I mean, it's unlike any group.
Oh, he didn't send it to me yet.
Yeah, it's so good.
All right, Serena. Well, we're gonna get it one way or another.
Right on, Joe. Dang. You imagine you getting the wrong one tattooed? Yeah, so so if we had a guy, if Balliet Brand was our tattoo guy, he would get the information when you went into Balliet Brand for your tattoo. He would have said, "No, this is actually the wrong version. I'm the official Hex tattoo artist. We'll make sure we get you the real deal." Right?
Yeah.
So centralization can be useful.
Yeah, Richard's gonna change the logo, by the way. So.
Oh yeah. Dang. Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, tattoos are. My ladies, my lady has talked about getting rid of her tattoos, and I'm like, oh God, please don't, right? Because they look so good. Her arms, she does this gorgeous tattoos on her arms, and but the last I heard, tattoos still were very painful to get removed, but I've heard kind of recently that they've become much less painful to get removed.
I'll have to get one so I can get it removed.
Yeah, maybe, I don't want to say it. Yeah, there's I mean, you could get any tattoo and get it removed, I guess, but well, Balliet Brand, we have faith in you, man. Your quality of your streams has increased to such an effect. I think no matter what level you're at right now, I think you can pick up tattooing and you can be the guy, man. I'll talk to you about it later, but you can be the guy. You can do it.
Well, and when Bitfinesse believes in somebody, that's half the battle right there.
Everything's hard, man.
Get the Bitfinesse bump.
Yeah. I love that Richard Hart talked about how hard it was to create Hex. He's like, hey, this interest stuff, this banking software stuff, really hard. Insanely hard. Very difficult.
Yes.
I'll message you, Balliet Brand. I love that guy. Yeah, it's hard. Stuff's hard, man. Life's hard. It's so weird, right? Like we're all born with code's hard. Yeah, you're born into the world. We weren't asked to be here. They give you Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. they give you all the good stuff right up front. And then you find out everything's a scam. Man,
Yeah.
got to work all the time. No, you can never retire because the thing you get paid in, it's actually going down in value really hard because the people who say they have your back, they're actually making more of the thing that you're trading your time for. Like, what? Oh my God. It's
Yeah.
just bad news all over the place. And, now we have Hex again. And we have Hex now. It feels like we have Santa Claus again. It feels like the way I thought the world was when I was a child. We got a little piece of that back. Big piece of that back. Huge. It's huge, man. I don't, like you said, Richard Hart is still coming to terms with the possible effects of this thing, with the way this thing actually operates, the way this thing actually incentivizes groups of people to do things that are good for themselves.
Yes.
These things were not in the code. The code was just really good. Really good. It's going to have all these other effects.
Yeah. It's like the first banner I ever made. I just put it up on the screen.
Programming mental health into money.
Into money. That's where it's at.
If you want more of something, you got to pay for it, right? Like, you penalize people for saving. Guess what? No one's got, 3/4 of the country don't have $1,000 in their checking account. What?
Correct.
What?
I think it's more than that, isn't it?
Likely. I mean, 70% of people take a daily prescription.
I mean,
what?
Aren't like a
What?
third of people laid off right now, if not more? Like, people are draining their savings down.
I don't know the technicals because they change so quickly.
Yeah.
According to what these special people do. All I know is that, like, I have not thought of the world as, like, good to go ever. I've never thought like, oh, we're going in an awesome direction here on Earth. I've always felt like, oh, this is why the aliens won't talk to us. Great. If they're here, I would hide too.
That's a good point.
I've always felt like that. And it's like everything, every new thing is just another step toward what seems like doom to me. And the guy everybody hates, the guy everybody calls a scam, that's the guy who's actually doing the right thing. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, I don't want to call out any industry people, but there are some people who
Sounds like you do.
Look, Ivan on tech, man, you could have said, like, hey, this is a legit. That guy's a programmer. He worked for Sony Ericsson. What?
This better be a joke, by the way. I don't think it is, though.
What's that?
Joe Hexotic said he signed me up to do a morning show, which...
Hey, but you know what? I'll be in the chat. I'm catching that show.
What?
So if you're
okay, I've not signed up for anything. I
don't see lull after that comment, Maddie. I don't know. That might be legit.
I just saw Unwrecked Pirate join the backstage for less than 3 seconds. I think we scared him off, unfortunately. Or maybe it was just his internet, but it was just funny because he popped up for 2.5 seconds.
He's in, he's out.
You were talking about Ivan Tech being a programmer though, and that's interesting to me. Tell me more.
Yes, he was a programmer. I've respected him for a long time. because it was from him that I learned what ZK snarks like. I learned what a zero knowledge proof was. Right.
Sure.
I enjoyed the
That's
way he
what's up.
explained it. So yeah, he used to work for Sony Ericsson. He's a legitimate programmer, and he sells a program to teach people to get started in programming. I had a lot of respect for Ivan on Tech. You know, yeah, he makes real stupid faces on his YouTube videos and all that. Okay, you know, you're playing the game, the clickbait game, everything. I get it. At least you can scam someone into going and hopefully educating themselves and becoming better. But when
That's what he tells himself.
yeah, the best thing that he said about Hex is that it might not be a scam, it might just be a failed or a terrible project. I was like, how much are they paying you? Like, I think you're a good person. I've seen enough of you. I think I've got a pretty good gauge of your character. Like, why would you say that? Like, you know, if I could read code, any new thing that came out, I would just read the code. Right?
But it's disrupting. It doesn't matter if they understand it or not. It
So that's the thing.
disrupts their market.
Yeah, so it's like
It
how
doesn't
much
fit. So they have
Yeah, but more than that.
Either they have cognitive dissonance or they do understand it. Either way, I mean, it leads them to the same place. They already bought in to something, and so they're really not open to the idea of something coming along that's better. That's the people who are in Hex, we're all in Bitcoin, but we're the ones who are open to something being invented that's better. And that's where the line is, in my opinion.
I think it's more than that. Because I think if that's all it was, Ivan on Tech can read code, obviously. I think if that's all it was, he would have read the code and then said, wow, this thing is actually amazing. I think what's more likely is that, because I don't think he's a total scumbag. I think what's more likely is the industry kind of is. I think the industry behaves in a way behind closed doors that maybe most people don't suspect. Maybe that a lot of people like us do suspect. I think maybe a group of people came to him and said, hey, you cannot be for this. You cannot be talking about how this thing's awesome and it's going to destroy middlemen, because you might be a great guy and want to get on board with a project that's actually good for people, but we are the industry, and without us, you fail, Ivan on Tech. Like, we can crush you. All of us versus you. You cannot be getting on board with this thing. Continue. Now, if you don't want to say terrible things about it, you don't have to say terrible things about it, but you cannot be saying super positive things about this thing. You cannot be driving our industry's traffic into Hex, because it's going to put us out of business. I think
well,
so.
Ivan, now that you're watching, because Bran has invented a system to let people know when we're talking about them, and according to the chat, you know, here it is. I've spelled it out for you. You can go to ishexascam.org and find my Medium article, or you can just go to mattieallen.medium.com, and you will find this article. It will tell you in the title what you're going to see. In the rest of the article that's supported, it says, Hex is not a scam. Hex gamifies compound interest. Bad or misformed actors such as yourself will tell you otherwise. And, you know, then we got the woman who's holding a Bitcoin, but I made it look like she's holding a Hex coin. And, you know, we got a picture of Richard there. He's looking pretty good. And, but this takes us to some of the bits of information that is important here. So we can look at the Hex contract. We can look at the Hex contract in plain English. We can look at the security audit, and we can look at the economics audit. I made this because I looked up Richard Hart, what people are saying against him, and there's some really bad stuff about him out there that's not true. But if if you read it, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it's not a big deal if you do, like, you know, they say all these bad things about him, but the only thing you can really prove, they're saying that Hex didn't have a security audit. Well, check it out. Like, here it is. So, you lost your credibility if you're gonna say a bunch of lies about somebody, and then you're just wrecking people who could have benefited, right? And so here is the Hex audit from Coin Fabric, and here it is. It's been published. Like, you can read through it. Like, it's exactly what Richard said. And he's summarized this for people. And the reason it was delayed was because there were errors like they made errors that had to be it had to be explained to them. There's the economics audit, right? And so that's by the same company. And we can look at the code. Oops. I mean, we can look at her too. That's fine.
It's cool.
Have you ever looked at the code?
I mean, I've looked at it, but in my mind, looking at something is like reading something. Hey, look at this paper for me. Look at this article. I have not looked at the code in that sense. I have looked at it. My eyes have gazed upon it, but I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Look,
I mean, most of it in the beginning is just like all of the launch stuff. But it's like further on in the code is like, it's really well commented. I mean, like, it is,
it's clean.
I mean,
Like, it's neat.
very technical, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's all here. And there was actually like a Bitcoin maxi guy who had like really crazy beard or hairy face going on. And
Daniel.
he looked it over and was surprised at how legit it is. So I mean,
I just wanted to hear one thing from the code. I wanted to hear no admin keys. That's all I really cared about, right? But when I looked at the code, because I can't read code, I did judge this document extra crucially for its format. So I just looked at like the body of it, like a woman. Like, look at how straight up and down those blocks of information are. I'm like, oh yeah, that's
the word
sexy.
private
It's
repeated. I mean, come on.
It's a sexy document. I mean, for someone who
sure
can't
is.
read code, I feel like I've gotten quite a bit of enjoyment out of that document for not being a coder myself. But about Ivan, I would like to, this is going to go on all the platforms, but this will be on YouTube, so I can be held accountable socially, right? And I'm okay with that. Everyone knows where to find me on Twitter. So about Ivan, I don't think I'm not convinced that Ivan is a complete scumbag. I'm not convinced of that yet, right? So here's a path for redemption. Ivan, if you will make an honest, good faith attempt to contact Richard Hart and ask him if he will accept a live stream with you, or if you can go on his live stream. It'd be great if it was a multiple hour.
I don't think they deserve it. I don't think they deserve it. Richard deserves
I agree.
to go on CNN and MSNBC. He deserves to go on The Economist. He gets to skip the level of people who suck, and he shouldn't give them the glory that comes in the future.
I agree.
because they don't deserve
Totally
it.
agree. I totally agree. I agree.
Oprah.
But
Does Oprah still do anything?
no, not really. She like gives out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I mean,
Let's ask Unracked Pirate. Who
It's
do you
cracking, boys.
like?
I don't.
How's it
Hey,
going?
good. Can you hear us okay?
Hey, man.
Still chuck sussing out this bits and pieces here. How you going?
It looks good.
Yes. The
Sounds
trucker.
good.
Hey,
The ice
buddy.
road.
How?
Oh, Ross Gold Peak Gold Train. How you going, mate?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Cracking over there. Hey, great conference so far. Really enjoying the streaming, Matty. Good effort,
Thank
mate.
you.
A lot of work into that, and it's much appreciated by the community for sure, mate. I think it's a great step up in standard. I think and professionally presented as well. I think it's a nice bookend for the Hex community to have such a high caliber community that willing to
Thank
participate
you. Yeah,
in things like that. So yeah. Anyway,
I agree.
what were you
Yeah.
gonna ask me? Yeah. Well, we can talk to the camera.
Maddie's got to ask you a question, and then I'm gonna defend my position here. So go ahead,
All right.
Maddie. You ask.
Now, I was just suggesting that, Richard deserves to like skip all of like the crypto influencers that have more followers than him, because he really deserves to go to the people who have like millions of followers who are like in the, like I like who's the Joe Rogan or somebody like he deserves to skip Ivan on Tech and go straight to where you're gonna get the most views and have the biggest audience. But who would you like to see him with? And do you agree with that, or do you think that Ivan on Tech deserves to stream with Richard?
I agree with you, Matty. I think that yeah, we just bypass the likes of Ivan on Tech, and I mean, we're talking like obviously this is an area that's outside of my expertise. I'm sort of law, business, finance, and things like that. So like this whole thing around social media and this whole influencer scene is, to me, I just can't. It just blows my mind to see how they monetize that, because I just look at it and go, I wouldn't waste my time with half of these people. Like, seriously, what are they doing? They're putting them. But anyway, I don't want to criticise. I want to just make the point that I agree with you, Matty. I think that if we're ranking celebrities, I think that Richard should go straight to the top of the class, and someone like a Josh Rogan, or I know that's been talked about as well. I mean, like, really, I would like to see Richard in the mainstream media and representing and being a credible representative of cryptocurrency compared to some of the other compared to what they're wheeling out. I mean, some of these jokers that they're wheeling out in cryptocurrency, they've got no credibility whatsoever. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a circus. Yeah. It's like a complete circus. I'm like, what's going on here? I've been here 5 minutes and I don't trust anyone in here except, the voice of reason. And that was Richard Hart that came out and actually spoke truth to power.
Yes.
And that's what
Yes.
I got in my head and went, nah, that's where I'm hooking up my billy cart to this bloke. And I think he needs to get more recognition and more respect. And
absolutely.
More,
absolutely.
That's and that's partly why we started as well, just to raise the awareness of Hex and to put the education stuff out there, and because we could see that there was stuff being said that wasn't true. Like, these guys were just like fudding Hex, and it's like, hang on a minute, I just put my money into that, and you're going to shit talk my bag? No, I'm not having that. I'm going to say something, and that's partly why we're not. Like I say, I'm not an expert when it comes to social media and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Just an ordinary bloke, right? And
I think people are scared to go. If you're at a high enough level where you have a huge audience, you're going to do your homework and realize that Richard could really make you look stupid in front of all your followers, and you wouldn't want to risk that, I don't think. And but I think that that could that could change, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's said that he's prepared to he's prepared to speak to anyone with an audience, and that's fair enough because I mean, you know, it's that publicity, it's that social capital. I mean, look, if there was an end game, look, I've seen him. He's actually spoken to Ivan on tech before. He's had that conversation with him. But I mean, honestly, my eyes glaze over with Ivan these days. I can't handle him. He's too much for me. But I mean, it's horses for courses. It's whatever floats your boat. I mean, he does have some smart stuff, but he just tends to be a Bitcoin sort of guy, and then he shills the odd coin here, but it's all just pay per view, isn't it?
There is a development that not everybody knows, and you know, I usually like to save the best stuff for last because people who tune in for only the first 6 hours of the conference, they don't deserve all of the good information that is hidden at this part at the end. So all of you who stuck around, you know, we're gonna make sure you get rewarded, right? And so here's something you may not have heard is it seems like Richard and Vitalik are signaling to each other. You know, that they you know, because Vitalik, it was 6 or 7 days ago now, he did it was at least a 5-minute video that I caught on YouTube where he was definitely talking about Hex. I mean, there was no question. He was talking about what is this, or he was answering questions about high interest staking versus basically low interest staking, which is what Ethereum 2.0 is. And I just found that so fascinating. And then, you know, Richard talks about, he talked in his last live stream about how, you know, he would be willing to talk to Vitalik and how much they have in common in terms of wanting to work on longevity research and you know, they have a common interest in seeing Ethereum do well, and all this. So
that's the level of conversation I'd like to see Richard Hart having as well. You know, that's the standard to me. I mean, you know, you're making a good point there, Matty. I think that's, and that, I mean, he needs to be playing with the heavyweights now. Look, Hex has been proven. It's you know, it's still in its infancy, and it's ready to rock and roll. It's been going 100%. I mean, the facts speak for themselves. You know, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we're here now,
yes.
And this the gatekeeping and all of these censorship stuff has been exposed. That exposing an industry that's sprung out of the ground like a mushroom, and all of a sudden has just gone in one direction when really the true intention of cryptocurrency wasn't where the direction of it's gone. And Richard and his team and whoever is involved in that have gone, okay, there's something not right here. We'll make something that what it should be, and they've put into place this product, and hey, it's a game changer. It's a revolution. It's an innovation. That synthetic stakes and shares that Hex has, that high interest, trustless interest, that's giving people back the power to actually save for their own future. Like, and you talk about behaviour like Matty, and that's a big deal. Like that's a huge deal. Like, I don't think people realise the potential that this thing's got to better your life. You know, and all the people that come out and speak are not doing it. We're not trying to shill you so we can sell our coins on the way up. We're not. All the guys on our stream, the Aussie guys, and the Discourse Syndicate guys. Hey, it's part and parcel of the market, the buy and the sell. But you know, we're in this for a long term. This is like,
we don't want to sell.
It's a savings thing for us. I mean,
if you don't appreciate Hex, I don't want you to get any. Like, you know, don't buy, please. Don't buy Hex. If you don't love it. Get out of here. Go.
That's it. We're not shilling. We're not doing a half yell to shill, are we? We're like, hey, buy it or don't buy it. We don't. It doesn't worry me. Like, you know.
Okay, so now I'd like to defend my position because I agree with you two gentlemen. right? I think we're wrong though, and here's why I think we're wrong. When I when I was in high school, there was a guy maybe 3 times my size who was picking on a friend of mine, and he was a cool friend. I'm trying to get in contact with him because he deserves to be a Hexagon. I had this kid was a bully, and I had to beat him up. I had to just flat out beat him a little bit, and 3 or 4 months goes by, and he's not learned his lesson. He's picking on, harassing another good friend of mine. So I had to give this kid another beating, and I didn't want to fight him. He's bigger than I was. Um, Sometimes you got to give bullies several beatings before they get it through their heads. So, like you said on Wreck Pirate, Richard Hart is willing to stream with anyone with a large audience, right? I'm not totally
Facts.
convinced. I think that Ivan on Tech was pressured by the industry. So I don't think even Oprah deserves to sit down with Richard Hart.
Boom.
I think the idea that Richard Hart is too good for television, or the people who exist now who are gatekeepers, I think it's bigger than that. I think Richard Hart
Wow.
deserves to have an entire, I mean, forget an entire network. Like, he should be running media, right? Like, Richard Hart should be, in charge of media. I mean, he's built the only honest thing in an industry where it's literally the only honest player. Hex is it. I mean, all of finance is wrecked. All of crypto is wrecked. So I think there might only be a few people who actually deserve to sit down and stream with Richard Hart. Okay, that's my position. But I think these people who, they say, like, people don't die right. You can't just do the job once and then everyone sees the truth. No, you've got to give multiple beatings. So for that reason, I want to extend to Ivan on Tech that if you make a good faith effort to reach out to Richard Hart and ask to do a multi-hour live stream, preferably after you watch this conference, I want you to sit down with Richard Hart. I'm not even asking you to apologize and admit you are wrong. I just want you to see if Richard Hart will do a stream with you. You've got a big following. I think I think it's time you either, like, change your tune or get another beating. And I can respect someone who says, I can't say the right thing, but I'll take my second beating. So I'm asking Ivan
Yeah.
on Tech to either take his second beating or give his honest thoughts on this project after reading the code. And if you do that, I will stake $1,000 worth of Hex in a fresh Ethereum wallet, and I'll turn over I'll turn over the public key to you, and later on the private key. I want Ivan on Tech to reach out to Richard Hart and have another stream. And I want to see if he's going to continue to deny the greatness of Hex. I want to see if he's willing to read Hex's code. And yes, it does put his job in jeopardy. But, like, I mean, come on, it's a job, dude. Like, Ivan on Tech is smart enough that he doesn't need the industry. He could be doing good in the world. He could be helping write programs and code for things that are going to help people better understand this project, or better utilize this project, or better help us monetize time in people's best interest and help people with their lives as they move forward. So yeah, I think bullies need several beatings, and I don't think Richard Hart. I would like to see Richard Hart chat with Lex Friedman and Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein and Peter Thiel, obviously Vitalik Buterin, but I just don't think there's anyone who deserves to sit down with Richard Hart. Warren Buffett doesn't deserve to sit down with Richard Hart. Like,
Aliens.
you know, I would like to see Elon Musk and Richard Hart sit down and
Yeah. Now
a
that's a good
72-hour
combo.
conversation. That would be great.
Yes.
And Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan is the best. He's the biggest outlet for media, but even Joe Rogan will tell you a lot of that is just because media is so bad. Media is so bad. Anybody who just is themselves is, at the time when Joe Rogan came up, anybody with any kind of charisma who was just a little bit honest and who was themselves and not beholden to anybody, they were going to take over the industry. So yeah, it would be cool
Well,
to
guys,
see him on Joe Rogan, but bigger.
I promised that we would do this for an hour, and here we are at hour 3. So in order for us to keep the audience fresh for the duration of the conference, I think now might be a good time to sign off, even though I know as a fact that the 3 of us could continue to have awesome conversations. Now let's save it for tomorrow night if we can, and just be able to say that the first night of the conference was a success, and we're looking forward to the rest of it. Now, how can people find you too? Because they're going to want to be following you and making sure that they hear more of what you have to say.
Go ahead, Unwrecked Pirate.
Okay, yeah, well, we've got an Aussie Hex late show that's weekly on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Sydney time, 10 p.m. California time. So that's PST, once a week. Myself and Day 43 OG, we've assembled a bit of a ragtag bunch of guys. We've actually got some really good expertise within that group.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I'm
You guys are all super smart.
Well, they are all smart around me. I put them around me to make me look better. But that's how that works. But other than that, yeah, look, Unwrecked Pirate on Twitter, and we just basically like and retweet everything we see, and if there's something worthy, we're in the Hex Crypto Hex TME / Hex Crypto. We're in most of the Hex chats. We like to keep up to date with what's happening, and it's just exciting. We love the Hex game theory. It's the best game theory in all of crypto, and that's it in a nutshell, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bitfinesse, where can people find you?
You can, if you ever need to email me something, I don't know why you would need to do that. You can do it at bitfinessecontact@gmail.com. I'm working on getting a Proton Mail because having a Gmail is,
Do it.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter. It's really the only other place I'm in the comments, but I'm on Twitter at bitfinesse, and that's it. Keeping it lean and mean. Maddie, you've done a wonderful job. Everyone
Thank
who's
you.
contributed so far to the conference, I tip my hat to you, sirs and ma'ams. And I'm looking forward to day 2, and day 3, and day 4, and day 5, and we'll see.
Awesome concept.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna see Unwrecked Pirate in hour 1 tomorrow. So that's
fantastic.
Well,
so we got a bit of agenda tomorrow. We're just talking about the network effect and the social. The global thing. But mate, great concept, and really excited about the conference. And we're tuning into all the streams where we can. And I know that all of the Aussie Hexicans are big supporters of the conference as well. So well done, mate. And good to get on stream with Bitfinex as well. There was a couple of classic streams back there. We just had me. I love your work, mate. It's awesome, mate. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And we'll see you around the traps. We'll see you around the traps.
Thanks to everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.
Night, guys.